Well. Look what has ended. That's right, it's Fairy Tail. It has ended with 545 chapters. And there will be no more Fairy Tail from this point forward. Well, actually, we have an anime next year. Sorry, I'm not used to that. Because I'm used to the news where the manga just ends and there's no anime season for its conclusion. I'm actually staggered to even hear about that news. So excuse me for actually being so surprised about this announcement. But hey, that's good for the fans, right? We got one more year of Fairy Tail, even though it's the same thing as the manga. But hey, maybe, just maybe, it will actually fix up what is wrong. This is Sparda's World, episode 71, already back for another one after doing the last one, talking about the series that doesn't seem to know when to stop. And now we're talking about a series that knows when to stop, though it can be argued it could have stopped much earlier, but I digress. Point is, Fairy Tail has come to the end, and now we're going to talk about that series. So I'd like to introduce you with two of my guests this time. So please introduce yourself.
That's it. I'll go first then. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is BlueStarSaber. You may know me from previous podcasts, the Naosaku from 2013 and 2014, which I was a regular along with Sparda here when he was back known as Naosaku for Life. But now he goes by the Warrior Sparda.
Indeed, I do.
Let's see. You can also find me on the Naosaku forums, where I sometimes occasionally debate in the threads, though not as much. Let's see. Elsewhere you can find me is my blog on Tumblr. And to maybe some extent Twitter. I have to work on that, but let's see. I hope if you wish to learn more about me, you can watch the old Naosaku podcasts. Though then again, I'm a bit embarrassed by how much of a Naruto fanboy I was at the time. Also, the fact that I did kind of got a bit in arguments with For Life near the end of it, but well, at least got a bit cross, but we're all cool and dandy now.
Yeah, we're always cool. It's all fun and games in the end. It's never that personal. Never got to that personal territory. Even if you hear us bickering, it's always, all fun and games.
I'm just hoping I just didn't say anything sexist or racist during that time, because I feel that will come back to bite me.
Well, karma is a you-know-what, so I can't really say what your fate will be like now.
True. But I'm here to have fun with this, hopefully many in the future, Sparda podcasts.
It's great to have you back.
Yeah.
In this podcast, of course, but it's great to see you. It's great to hear you again. It's great to have a good chat. And, with this topic, it should be a really fun time.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
And this is the voice of God Ong-sud. I'm here to bestow... Okay, no. I'm no. Fuck that shit. Hey, guys, what's up? LuckyChi7 is here today, joining Sparda once again. And, it's like I always say. I always have a blast doing podcasts, whether it's my own podcast with Tokyo Ghoul or just being part of Sparda's podcast, as it's been since, I want to say, since the Bleach podcast, if I remember correctly. I think.
Yeah, the Bleach one was the first time you did it.
Yeah, it was the Bleach podcast. That was a good time. It was friendly, that's for sure. Much friendlier than my review.
I remember that. Still feel bad for what you got.
You guys doing that podcast made me think, okay, I've got to join you guys on the Fairy Tail podcast when it's end, because it's probably going to end at some point soon.
Oh, yeah, especially where it was going at the time.
Yeah.
Once again, back for the podcast to talk about Fairy Tail, because this is another series of his that he has been following for almost a decade, if not is a decade. I don't know.
I've been following it for like 6 to 7 years.
That's for me.
It was like the 4th manga I ever read.
Yes, I have been following 7 years now, and I actually got some feeling when I finally hit to the last page of the entire manga. So that is new, but we're going to discuss that right now, because now that the series has ended, we have this last chapter. There's like 48 pages, which is good enough for to make a conclusion out of, you know, whatever content you have to cover. Usually you get that. Usually the last chapter would be just like 17 pages, 19 pages, whatever. And that's always like a bad sign when you don't conclude a lot of things. That happens to a lot of series that we have read, whether it's Naruto, Bleach, or anything else that probably has bothered us to see this short amount of pages to cover everything, or if not most of it, in a chapter. And, you know, truth be told, you could say there's still parts that maybe couldn't cover enough for the fairy tale last chapter, but that depends on how you see it. That being said, this last chapter, 48 pages, this is the actual conclusion to the series. There's nothing to connect from the last arc, which is pretty much the Alvarez arc, the war arc itself. This last chapter is all focusing on these characters, their characters' last developments, and every so forth. What do you think of the last chapter? So I'm going to ask LuckyChi first to, you know, let us know, what do you think about the last chapter?
The last chapter. Okay. Now, I did do my whole live reaction on the final chapter, and I'm surprised by how long that thing turned out. That was like almost close to 50 minutes. I was like, huh. 15 minutes. That was a thing. Although, I did kind of have a little bit of a break point in between during the live reaction, so that's kind of sort of the blame on that. But usually when it comes to my fairy tale live reaction, sometimes I take my time when it comes to like the content that's in it, or if it's kind of just like, well, you know, the usual stuff that happens in the fights or sometimes. But because this was the final chapter, I thought, let me take my time on this. Let me savor every moment that I can in this final chapter and just see what I can come out of it. And the one thing that I really noticed while I was reading the chapter is how much fun I had reading it. Like, that's the important thing. Like, here, I had a couple questionable moments that kind of showed up in the chapter, like, here or there. And that aside, like, I don't know, like, I didn't really have any complaints, really. And, I mean, if anything, just to you know, long story short, I actually feel like it was kind of unique the way how it ended, because the series that I've read, you know, with Naruto and Bleach, you know, it ended in a way that you feel like there could have been a little bit more. Fairy Tail kind of has that too in a way, but it was done differently. And in the way it ended, it was kind of like you could end it here, or you can kind of say that you can resume if you want. It's not like a definitive thing where it's like, no, this is the end all be all. It can either go like, it's your picking, and it's kind of like an open ended situation, if you will. But I mean, I remember just going through the way it starts out with Lucy getting the award for her book, which finally happened. I mean, it took a long time, but the build up to that, I thought was actually pretty crazy. And it's funny because I always thought that the last page of Fairy Tail was going to be like Lucy, like kind of like reading the book, and then like you get to the last page, and then it closes. But you didn't get that. You just got mainly Lucy's point of view about what's going on. You see some of the stuff that's going on with the characters, which again, it was fun. It was just fun seeing Fairy Tail kind of being what Fairy Tail is, not in terms of fights, but just like, you know, being bombastic, being essentially idiots, if you will, because that's kind of what they are.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, we got some shipping teases. Well, like, okay, one major confirmation I can say. One major confirmation, which was Gajil and Levy, which...
When you go blush.
Good job. Good job, Gajil. Good job. You finally did something... I mean, you've been redeeming yourself, but... My
favorite Dragon Slayer finally got the best of them all.
Right? That, and speaking of comparing endings, there's one particular series that took a character in a direction where you kind of wish that it was a little bit more earned. And I feel like with this one particular character, talking about Jalal here, that Hiro kind of took that approach to Jalal, and he said, you know what? I can make this better. So you ended up kind of having the same thing with Jalal with the ending, but the difference between, okay, I'll say it, the difference between Naruto's ending with Sasuke and with Jalal here is like, Jalal felt like there was a lot of build-up to it, especially after the whole Tower of Heaven arc. Or in this case, you can even argue, like, since it's Oratian Caesar, like, ever since then, like, he's been going on this road of redemption. And you've seen that journey, like, you know, time and time again, every time he's in the manga. And when that part finally came up, I was like, you know what? That's actually pretty cool. Like, I was kind of glad to see that character kind of get a payoff. So that, I feel like, was actually really effective on me in a lot of ways.
Well, one advantage Fairy Tail did is it did this for like multiple arcs and stuff like that, while Naruto just did 2 chapters before the end, before redemption.
That's true, right? Like, you can get any of that with Naruto.
Please don't thumbs down this video.
Yeah, please.
Thumbs it up.
Do we have a middle thumbs button? Just like
No, I don't know.
Maybe we should just remove thumbs down, period.
And then probably just replace it with what Facebook has done. A like, a heart, a laugh, a wow, or an angry.
Yeah. That would actually be perfect.
So,
but, yeah, going on with what I was saying, it was also just kind of nice seeing with, like, you know, where all the characters are actually, like, we covered, I at least covered Gajio. Anna was kind of interesting, because I remember I got to that part in the chapter, and I was just thinking, like, so she's still around. That's actually, I'm not complaining. I mean, her overall character in the story, I wish there was a lot more to it, because I feel like it was kind of lackluster when I really think about it. But it was kind of nice to see where her character kind of ultimately ended up. And, I mean, she's a school teacher. That, I guess you could say that's kind of fitting. Kind of.
Well,
I mean,
it's better than just trying to kill her off.
It's all kind of random, sure, but like, do what you will with it. But the other thing that the ending kind of took me by surprise a little bit was, well, kind of. I don't want to say, because this was one of the things I feared when it came to the end. This was one of the things I feared. Because as soon as I saw these two, I was like, oh, fuck no. I'm like, no. I'm like, Hiro, don't you dare. Don't play that card. If you play this one card, oh, my hope. It would have just shattered into a million pieces. Luckily, it was just those. Luckily, I was like, okay, it's just those two. Basically, Mavis and Zeref are there. Or at least that's what we're led to believe. They're there, and you're kind of just like, whoa, hold on. These two went into the afterlife. How the hell are they back? And what I took from that is, cause as far as, I usually don't like to bring religion up into this, but like, there's a certain thing from what I've read and what I've looked up, like, as far as like certain religions believing in reincarnation. So,
you mean like Hindu mythology?
Yeah, kind of like that. So I took that into consideration. I was thinking maybe it's like some kind of form of reincarnation. And based on how the chapter is going with them, like, if I remember correctly, one of their names was Arius and the other one was Mia, which I'm assuming Mia was Mavis and Arius is Zeref. And that whole little interaction, I mean, I know some people are kind of just be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I think, you know what, there's stuff in Fairy Tail that really doesn't make sense, but I think this is kind of one of those few things where you can go, like, it's kind of like up to your interpretation as to what it is. I honestly believe it's just reincarnation. That's the only logical thing that kind of makes sense to me.
Although I do question how the heck are these two are like reincarnated when they just recently died.
Yeah, that was a thing that popped in my mind too. I was just thinking, like, well, okay, how exactly does that work out? Like, I wish that we got some tidbits on that. At least, like, maybe, like, I would even take, like, a sentence or two of an explanation. I would have been like, okay, at least there's some reason behind that. Because it does feel a little thrown in there, but I still think that's kind of just like an open interpretation thing. That's me personally. And then we finally get to like everything regarding the ships again. Gaja and Levy was a thing. Loxus, I feel like that was just like a little tease thing. It was kind of just like a joke. It's like Loxus Mira, Loxus Lisana, which I'm like,
I don't see that happening at all, to be honest.
I don't see that happening either. Loxus and Kana was another one too. I'm like, Let's
see. Mira and Kana, yeah, I can see, but not Loxus and Lana. Sorry, continue.
No, yeah, but you had that, and then you had again the whole Jalal party thing kind of happened like while Lucy was talking about the Urza and Jalal pairing too, which in a way you can say was kind of semi-confirmed. It wasn't like a straight up like yeah they're together, but they're building towards it, which kind of works. And then you get kind of like the big elephant in the room, which is Nalu, and it's funny because when I did my live reaction, I'm kind of under the assumption that it's kind of up to you how you view it, because the way how I viewed it is because the way it was building up, and minor spoilers for Rave Master, but it was kind of similar to that in its own way, where you have the main character Haru end up with Ellie, and it's funny because the way how it was set up and the way how they were kind of building towards it was very, I wouldn't say identical, but very familiar to the two of them. And while Haru and Ellie felt like was a more mature standpoint on them getting together, and then you reach that big moment for them. Natsu and Lucy, like, I was there. Like, I thought for a second, like, wait a second. Hold on. Is it happening? Like, is the big Nalu moment that everyone's been waiting for finally going to happen? And then turned out to be Natsu just saying, yeah, we're going to go on a quest and tell Lucy's disappointment. She's like, oh, wait, hold on. Just when you think something interesting is going to happen. And then Natsu says one thing. Natsu says, oh, but don't worry. We'll be, together forever. And again, you could take that in multiple standpoints. You could take that either in the standpoint of, like, we'll be together forever as, like, as, like, a team, or as we'll be together forever as in, like an actual legit thing. And if that's the case, I think that kind of fits with Natsu's character, because had it been kind of like a kiss, it would have felt kind of out of character for Natsu. For me personally, I really feel like it would have kind of been out of character. If Lucy went in and kissed him, then I could have bought that. But if it was Natsu going in for the kiss, I would have been like, his character-wise, it doesn't fit. So hearing that line, I felt worked. And then you get to the ending, you have everybody waiting there. You have Wendy, you have Carla, you have Happy, you have Gray and Urza, and you find out they're about to go on a 100-year quest. And the way how that final page ended off, I mean, that was kind of beautiful. I'm not going to lie. That was actually really beautiful to see, because when I saw that, I was just thinking, like, wow, like, it kind of hit me in that moment, like, it's over. But at the same time, I'm kind of thinking, in a way you can say, like I've been saying so far, that it's a way where Hiro could go back and revisit in the future. I don't think it's something he's going to go back to right away, but it is something he's probably going to kind of look at and say, well, there might be a time when it might come back. And honestly, I think looking at the ending in and of itself, I think it's an okay to, like, I would even argue a good ending. I think it's one of the better shonen anime, like not shonen anime, but like shonen manga / anime endings that I've seen as of recent. But that's just me personally. That's kind of just all I have to say about it.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Is it my turn now, or yes, probably my turn?
It's your turn.
Let's see. For me, this fairy tale and this chapter, this final was good, but not great. And I say that mainly because, well, everything in a sense was kind of like satisfying or ends in the best way it could. what built up to it was not good at all. In fact, it was very bad at times. Heck, even worse than Naruto at times. Which is saying something, but anyway. But that's a bit later on in the discussion. Anyway, right now, let's see. I quite liked the fairy tale chapter. I kind of looked at the spoilers a bit, so I was wondering, okay, so some parent couples were confirmed, and I was a bit confused on the whole Naruto Lucy thing. But let's see. But anyway, I quite liked that the first chapter ended up with, 1 year later. So in Fairy Tail for once did, instead of like 10 or 20 years later with Naruto and Bleach, it did 1 year later with Lucy getting her award thing, which in a sense, for her, for finally writing a book, which I was quite like, because I partly wondered if Hiro forgot about this plotline for a bit, because it's been so long since that was talked about. Mm-hmm. Let's see. And in a way, it was kind of like much better than what Kishimoto did by skipping out the whole Naruto becoming Hokage thing, which only happened in an omake, which ended up being a joke where he didn't even get to attend his own ceremony. So yeah, this was much better. And let's see, I quite liked how it just introduced all of like, let's see, I'm just getting to the page where all these smart, fancy people are just congratulating Lucy, and then when they learn that she's in Fairy Tail, then it goes to the comedic thing. Okay, this explains why this rowdy bunch is all chaotic and stuff. And during the first page, Gray has already been stripped to his boxes. Let's see. Lucy says, "Why do you guys have to misbehave and stuff?" And Natsu just says, "Too bad." Good on Natsu. He's going to be embarrassing and chaotic no matter where he goes. It's like screw manners and formality with him. Let's see. Then it comes to one last classic Gray and Natsu confrontation where pretty much, let's see, Gray in the double standard it's at the ear saying, "Put on some formal clothes," while Natsu just says he should put on instead. And before that, they can continue fighting, Asa pretty much kicks their butt one last time. Let's see, and then Lucy goes on about what has been happening. Let's see, how her book became like, got the award, such as while it didn't sell as much money to become all rich and stuff, it's enough to get recognition, which is fine with me. I think Lucy's just happy that it's read. I think that's what most people are happy about. Then we get to Miss Anna, which, of course, LuckyChi mentioned she'd become a teacher. Although I can't tell if the kids are wearing modern or old school uniforms when it comes to her class, but I like stuff. And then, let's see, we learned that the reason why Natsu's been so close to Lucy is that she smells a lot like Miss Anna, and that's why he's been quite attracted for her. And Gajo points out that apparently Natsu, as a little boy, had a crush on Miss Anna. The classic little boy has a crush on his pretty teacher thing.
I was actually pretty amusing, I'm not going to lie.
What?
I thought that was actually pretty amusing when I saw that.
Yeah.
And that was actually kind of clever to pretty much translate to the whole pairing tease once again. So I thought that was actually kind of clever of them.
It was.
Yeah. Gadget just teases, and Natsu just goes casually, "Yep, I'm white." And Gadget's going like, "What do you mean, and?" I mean, because this is kind of because many people, because in a way you could, let's see, and Lucy's kind of embarrassed about the whole thing, because in a way some people would be a bit questionable about the stuff that's since I suppose it's kind of like a Captain America kind of thing with Peggy and then later Sharon. Let's see, because Captain has feelings for both these two women during different periods of his life, but let's see, turns out they're related. So I think it's kind of like that thing. It's that weird, awkward thing. But it depends how you take it, really. If I have explained that quite well, I'm not sure if I did. Okay, let's see, moving on. Then we go to Gadger and Levy, where she whispers pretty much in his ear. He goes, oh, blush, blush, blush. And Lucy's just saying, she thinks going all blushing and thought she heard the word baby, which probably implies that Gadger's finally getting it on.
Twins! I'm calling it twins.
No, I
Are you basing that off the light novel?
Yeah, which
In a way.
let's see, mainly for which many I think people went ballistic about and stuff. Although I think some people were wondering whether it was not going to happen since Gadget was apparently dead for a few chapters. But hey, but it's definitely funny how Wendy heard it. It's because she's even more blush because she's like because due to being a dragon slayer, she has those extra dog ears. And then we learn a bit about the other guilds where Wendy goes back to Llama Scale for a bit. Let's see. Toby's still a freaking idiot. Let's see. I'm not sure what happened to Oh wait. Is that Natsu or Leon? I can't tell on that page. Let's see. And we find out. Let's see. What was her name again? Shira. Sorry, I should have looked at the page. I'm reading this as I'm explaining, just so I can get my thoughts up and stuff. Is starting to learn wind magic again. Let's see. Now, I'm not sure how to feel about this. I think this is one of the few iffy moments of the chapter, as it was during the fight against. Let's see, Springland 12 member that can use time. It made a big emphasis that one of them was going to lose their magic powers. Let's see. And this is kind of and I feel like this kind of might ruin the bittersweet moment of the thing. I mean, they beat the time lady gal, but one of them had to lose their powers just to do it. But who knows? It depends how much more of this we're going to get in the future and stuff. If we get any more of this in the future, Fairy Tale and honest. And then we learn that once again, Sabretooth is doing their eating contest. Sting is fat again, and Miranda still wins. Now, funny enough, I do not see I see the hat guy and the God Slayer, but just barely. And Ichiya is just being Ichiya. That's how I can describe it. And for some reason, Hiro Mashima just cannot leave fan service, even in the last chapter. Has pretty much Mermaid Hiro in bikinis doing modeling poses with Kaguya. Which seems a bit out of character, but hey, it's Hiro Mashima. He likes fan service. Then Kara tries to get Lucy drink more alcohol, which will lead to a funny moment later on. Juva tries to strip, which is like, Hiro, stop with the fan service, but hey, it does lead to Grey taking Juvia out, and they have a touching moment where they talk about their scars, and I quite like that bit. I mean, it's fitting. I mean, I suppose this is probably the best way you could end, Groovia pairing. Yeah, I'd say. I mean, originally I didn't like the Groovia because it seemed more like a one-sided Juvia has a crush on Graysama thing, but it did get a bit better during the Tartarus arc, I'd say. Although, judging by Wendy's blushing, I'm wondering what the heck did those two ended up doing. I just hope it's not what I think it is in public. And then it goes on about all the shippings that might have happened, Elfman and Evergreen, which was bound to happen. I mean, it was teased for since Tenro Island. Let's see, and then it teases this thing of who Luxus ended up with, which she said Mira, Kana, and Lasana. And like I said earlier, I don't see how Luxus could be paired up with Lasana. I mean, it's mainly, I guess, an age difference, but I just think that Luxus just wouldn't be into her thing. But anyway, and let's see. So I can either see him, if he goes with a female relationship with either Mira or Kana, but that's just if they're going with a hetero relationship, as I think some people also ship Luxus with Freed. I do know one Tumblr user that was kind of complaining about, let's see, Hero just going to cop out and just go with Mira because that was just how popular it was, or just that was the ship that was most popular, the Luxus, instead of doing a gay ship. But I don't really care about that stuff, to be honest. So I honestly think it's best that Luxus doesn't pair up with anyone because he wasn't really focused on romance. Let's see. So it's just pretty much rumors for her, and with Jer, and with let's see, it goes to Urza, which the two have a touching moment, which of course leads to we learn that pretty much the princess ended up becoming the queen. Honestly, I feel like we should have had more of her, but hey, it is what it is. And we, of course, like LuckyChi says, we finally get a pardon with Jarrow and the Lamas and the, I'm trying to remember the names, the Orcunceus. Yeah, that's it. Get their pardon for their crimes and stuff, which was a bit better, which was much better with how it went with the whole Sasuke thing. Although I do kind of wonder if we could have possibly have Angel and that Earth using guy, I don't know, the dude with the crystal square head, the one that turned good during the whole Orcunceus arc thing, could have ended up reuniting with Yukino and his brother stuff, kind of doing a touching ending because those two were searching for their siblings kind of thing. At least that's how I remember it. So it kind of gives a subtle hint that Urza and Joe are sort of going to be in a relationship, but which is fine, I guess. And of course, we have Makarov, who's still alive, who should have been dead at least 3 times. With the getting drunk and boasting about what's going on with the current events. And then suddenly we have what appears to be Mavis and Zeph, who, which makes you wonder if they're alive, but luckily turns out that's not the case. Otherwise, this would have been BS. And it seems that they're implied to be reincarnations, which I'm still a bit confused about since they only died about a year ago. And let's see, afterwards we get a funny drunk moment with a bit more partying, a bit more of some of the other minor characters. I do quite like how Jet and Droy are just all upset and jealous that Gadgel and Levy have become a couple and expecting a child. Some of the other main characters goofing off a bit. Let's see, I forgot what that kid's name is. The one that admires Natsu, was it Leo? I
think it was Romeo.
Romeo, oh yeah, Romeo. Talking with, let's see, I'm trying to remember the 2 gun mages' daughter talk about how he's definitely not becoming an adult like them. I'm not sure if that's kind of trying to be a bit of a tease, saying that these two are going to become a couple when they become adults, which I'm not sure of how I would feel about that. But who knows? Take that as you will. Or just maybe
I always thought it was going to be Wendy and Romeo. That's kind of what I figured it was going to be.
Yeah, I figured if there was any one Romeo's going to pair up with, it's going to be with Wendy, but it seems like that's not the case. And we find out that the glasses girl that uses wood magic has a boyfriend, I think. Or is it the snake girl? I can't tell. I asked you. I think it's the wood girl. Apparently his name is Eric. Then we cut to, of course, let's see, the back to Lucy's house where once again she wakes up wondering what's happening, if it's a dream. But then we go back to the one last time commercial, "Yo, I'm in your room, Lucy" moment, which I just loved. Let's see, and then we do learn that it's not a dream that Lucy does have the trophy, but it's all ruined because Happy ended up scratching it. So, note to self, hide your trophy so the cat's going to scratch it. Kind of joke. Let's see, and then Natsu explains what's going on. Lucy going all drunk. Natsu ends up carrying him, asking her to change his clothes for him, and then she goes, "Oh, let's sleep together," kind of thing, which is a bit funny. Now, granted, if Hiro took it a bit further, it would have been problematic, but he didn't. And then they talk about work, and it just goes to flashbacks between Natsu and Lucy. Lucy gets all emotional, going through all the things, and you're kind of like thinking that these two are going to do a sort of shipping moment. Instead, Natsu, as when Lucy hugs Natsu, but Natsu kind of ruins the moment in a way, in his ever so funny, "Let's go!" Right, oops, I kind of dropped the page thing, and Lucy's like, "Dude, I'm trying to have an emotional moment here," and he just goes like, "Nah, it's okay, Lucy. We're gonna have emotional moments forever and stuff," and you can take that as whatever you will, as they're like BFs for life or as a couple. It doesn't matter to me either way. Let's see. And of course, let's see, the rest of Team Natsu's there waiting for him, Gray, and Wendy. And finally, it seems they ended up, which I was surprised because I thought that Hiro kind of dropped this thing, or just left it, the 100-year quest, which they get everyone excited, and the chapters ends with the question about, do fairies have tails, or if they even exist, and stuff, looking back at the guild, them all partying stuff, or them just being the usual fairy tale guild thing. And the last page is, of course, them all, in a way, satisfyingly, them going off on another adventure, but let's see, with a little, possibly a confirmation or not, whether or not fairies exist, let's see, of like a little fairy saying, "See you later," that looks like Zedra, let's see, looks like Mavis's dead friend imagery thing. So this might hint that fairies do exist or not, but they just missed it. And in a way, Fairy Tail ends satisfyingly. Let's see. As for this chapter, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. And that's my thoughts.
All right. Great to hear from both of you guys. As you may know, well, my review has been posted up for a while now. So if you haven't seen that, well, now I can tell you here. Honestly speaking, I come to this chapter thinking it's going to be a conclusive chapter and it won't be anything that harmful, frustrating, or anything like that that have come with the other series in the past. Granted, there are some series that I have read that have a good conclusion. You know, like, I think, was it Bleach the last one? Well, no, but that's before the other two Titan series, as you want to call them. But my point is,
you mean what about Toriko? Is that the one?
No, but that ending is good from what I heard. So, yeah. Well, I'm saying is that what's the last manga I finished reading that actually ended good? You know what? It doesn't really matter right now. My point is, when it comes to those big series that the United States of America, yeah, I have to say the entire name, popularized heavily, and you know, this is among, I think, the last one. I mean, like, yeah, we got a new one that has been popular, that's being popular in America, such as One Punch Man, My Hero Academia, Tokyo Ghoul,
Attack on Titan.
Yeah, Attack on Titan as well. But you know, I like to associate those three series, Bleach, Naruto, and Fairy Tail. Yes, they are in a different publication. I understand that, but it's the way how America has seen this for a long, long time. Now, this one has come to the conclusion, the end of the era, as like many people likes to say, but whatever, an era is an era. now we're in with this final chapter, and again, I didn't think it would be any frustrated. I don't even think it was going to be something that would make me mad or anything. I mean, if it did, it would have been a hell of achievement. Trust me. I mean, it would have been something else if that was the case. But turns out to be that wasn't, because I liked the chapter. I liked the last chapter. And honestly speaking, it motivated me even further to finish this project I'm working on that I'm still hoping to be done by tomorrow, as I'm recording this on Saturday, which is actually going to Sunday through the midnight hours. Anyway, my point is that the reason why got motivated by this chapter is because it actually reflects on what I thought about this series. And it's that even though the action wise and some of the story elements, more of the way how it pays off, has gotten stale, has gotten a pretty weak, and it has gotten disappointing because of how much it was building up to, and it leads up to the disappointing with this hype and all that stuff. But with this last chapter, now there was no hype or build up. Well, maybe you want to talk about pairing, sure. You got what you need here for the most part. But my point was that I have seen like people that saying like, I actually really dig the ending. It's just that the last arc still, it's a shame that it was not that good, and that's understandable because to me, I thought the same thing too. But the ending tells me one thing, and is that the strength of the series is actually comes from these characters. It's not what I'm trying to say, like, oh my god, they're so original, they're so amazing, but these characters are designed to be like very charismatic or very fun, like something like One Piece has been doing, only just doing this for a long time. So miraculously, it continues all to be really thrilling for these characters and all that other many characters this series has that I'm kind of shocked that I remember majority of them. But anyway, with Fairy Tail, the thing is, the Fairy Tail, it feels like to me, Mashima is more found of his character, more so than a found of what he's trying to do in a serious route. Meaning that the action maybe not be something that he really cares that much, more so on the characters, especially the fact that he has somewhat no courage to kill them off, maybe because he cares too much. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if what I'm saying is actually that true, because they are mangaka, believe it or not, that care too much that they don't want to kill them off. Now, some of them do kill them off still, but they even have regrets inside of them. And I have read interview that these characters are too attachable, so sometimes killing them off is actually harmful. Hence why I think that's why he kind of throw a bone at Mavis and Zerov scene. Like, he can't really bring them back. So the best thing he could try to do is either have I guess supposed to be illusion, or if not, a reincarnation, which that's what I'm following the most right now. It's the reincarnation idea. I know it's confusing, but I guess that's the point. But what I'm trying to say is that I feel that Mashima doesn't want to kill off characters because maybe he got too much attached to them, especially if you have followed his Twitter. It's like, oh yeah, this guy really loves to draw his characters, any single character that he could think of. And maybe that's the case. I don't know. Or maybe he's just doing that because, the target audience was never meant for us. I'm not sure. It's kind of remind me of the argument that we had with Boruto from the last podcast. Maybe the target audience wasn't made for the exact same thing as Naruto, and maybe it just got underage. Hence why the violence isn't that extreme, or even just violence. And there, yeah, we got some blood, but big whoop, So Fairy Tail last chapter just tells me, like, yeah, this is the biggest strength. Their fun moments, their hilarities. It's something that actually reminds me with that one side chapter with the whole prehistoric age one. That was actually pretty funny. But that's the thing. It's funny because it's these characters. They make it work. And honestly speaking, I feel like if he just cut down the fighting, even though that won't be everyone's preference, but I feel like if he cuts down the fighting, the series would actually be better off without it, because it just seems like it's more focused on the character and more focused on the fun and thrill. When I look back at all these openings, and yeah, they're openings, but all these openings almost made me forget there were many negatives with this series. And it's crazy because I was like nearly close to post to say, like, is it me, or when I look back, it's not as flawed as I remember. I almost wanted to write that, but then I remember there are flaws. No, don't make no mistake about it. But the point is, when you see the strengths, it's really there. And yeah, the main story did have the opportunity to be good as well. It's just, the payoff, the action got stale. Whatever happened, it sucks that that's the case. At least in my opinion, of course. And a lot of people will be all right. A lot of people definitely will not be all right. But yeah, it's kind of astounding that this last chapter really reflects on the old fairy tale days, where it's just having fun, where it's just chillaxing, all that good stuff. It doesn't have to do with serious moments. These characters just like to mess around and all the other thing that we remember fairy tale. It's like the old fairy tale chapters, the days where it was really that good. Again, it's not like he had bad. It's not like he was always suck at story. It's just, I don't know what happened from there. That's something else, because we did see some great potentials, and we did see some of the moments that he really has his shining time, like the whole Zera backstory. The backstory was really damn good, but after that, it's like, what happened, So this chapter really reflects on the good side of fairy tale. I'm not going to recap because everybody here already done that. But the point is, I really like it because it relives the moments that we actually like about fairy tale. These characters, the atmosphere, the joy is all fun and games. It's really nice. And I really like the last scene with Lucy and Natsu. Now, the pairing thing, of course, this is all for interpretation, but I'm fine with this because, again, like LuckyChi said, Natsu doing the confession or doing the kiss would be out of character. So it's like, it kind of reminds me two things, but it leans more to the second one. Now I'm going to mention the two one. First one, it reminds me sort of like Soul Eater ending, though in that ending, it didn't have too much ground because it was never play off as a pairing thing, but it kind of wanted to give you a little nudge on it. It was that one scene. I try not to give too much away, just in case you haven't read Soul Eater, anyone else who's listening to this right now. But if you two guys have read Soul Eater, you probably know what part I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. I've never read Soul Eater fully, but I did read the final chapter just to see if it was going to be a couple thing. But
yeah, same with me too.
Yeah, it's like the mangaka kind of wanted to just have fun, just to put a little insert of a nudge, but it didn't have too much ground. But it is a little fun nudge to the fans. But the second series that also remind me, which actually a lot of series has done this before, but I'm just going to mention this because this was one of the popular ones that happened recently for everyone, is Erase. Erase ending, it didn't really have like a I love you, confession, kiss scene, whatever, but not for whatever reason. In fact, I know the reason, but a lot of people already know what's the deal. A lot of people already know the pairing, and it's the exact same thing that happened. Well, it's not exact same, but it's similar to Natsu and Lucy, meaning that even if you didn't get the confession, even if you didn't get a kiss scene, what you have is good enough. In reality, is that we are spoiled for a kiss scene. We are spoiled for a confession, like 100%. And even if Mashima has done his way to do the whole, secretly to show you these two are going to eventually get together, especially if the adventure goes on. And that's the whole thing. This ending didn't even bother to go for the epilogue idea, which every series tend to do that because, you wanted to know what happened in the future for whatever reason. But in this one, it's like, nah, we're just going to give you a 1 year later, because what I'm trying to tell you, every adventure is never the last, and it's a good message too. It was a good message in the end. I thought it was a heartfelt moment with that scene. I thought it was a really heartfelt moment with whole Lucy remembering every moment with Nasu being involved, and the fact that he brought her, to the path of joy, and that is being with Fairy Tail. And it's almost like it translates to speaking to us, which actually kind of hit me, and I was like, wow, I really felt that. It's not something that I expected, to be honest. I just expected it to be a fun chapter, which I did get that, but that part took me by surprise. So I really like that whole part. It's already been said from everyone else. Like I said, I may like the ending. I may like the last chapter like a good amount. Like, I guess if you want to go to the scale rating, as an 8, even though I did say 7, but I was just randomly put there because I just wanted to get out of the way. Point is, I did like the ending, and I did like how it utilized every opportunity to show most of characters to be exact, but it gave you the good enough emphasis on what their paths are going to. And yeah, that's really about it. I was kind of amazed that the ending was like this, was actually good. And yeah, it doesn't change my opinion of the overall series, but it does help out on one thing to realize, and is that there is that strength that you kind of wish that maybe you should have excluded the action, or if not, go with the old style with the whole adventure journey, because that's what before. Well, in a way, One Piece is still doing it, but it has a target now with the whole Yoko stuff. But that's another subject. My point is, if it would have kept the way how it just have a lot of quests, a lot of RPG element feeling, it would have been a really, really good series. So, yep, that's my answer. That's all of our answers. Pretty shocking to hear all of you guys, with a lot of praises, actually. So, yeah, that's cool. I don't know. Maybe I was expecting one of you guys to really bash the hell out of it.
Well, to be honest, I kind of feel like I was going to a bit, but it turns out it hasn't happened yet.
Like that's what I see. It's funny because when it initially came to me doing the live reaction, I was thinking like I could see this go two ways, and given where it's been going recently, I'm like thinking it has a likely chance of going the bash route, but it surprisingly didn't for me. I was like, oh, I mean, again, I had questionable moments in the chapter, but I wasn't like, yeah, let's forget this shit completely, because it wasn't like that at all.
Yeah, I felt like the only few moments that could have been BS were, of course, the Zerth and Mavis thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, who was Luxus getting together with? And
I think that one's just poking fun at the idea.
Yeah. I really thought that's a good one too.
It was funny because it was going for Mira, but now it's like you kind of sense that Mashima understand what the fans have been thinking for a while in terms of pairing. So he just toy around with that one because he was like, what is this pairing? Is it with her? Was it with her? And people probably be thinking like, I never thought of her.
And I'm pretty sure all the ones that shipped Luxus with free, they're probably going to be upset that he didn't include that. But hey.
That's just something that can start a petition.
Well, I don't know. I hope they don't do a petition thing, because I recall when like Bleach and Naruto ended, there were like some petitions by some Naruto fans and Ichiruki fans to ban the series from the West. And as much as like I don't blame them for not wanting this thing, it just gave material for like YouTubers like Neverworld and Swear to say just how wild and crazy these Naruto and Ichiruki fans were. But hey, that's how it is.
Well, it's the perfect time to segue to this then. It's a good time to segue, I'm saying, because The next part I would like to ask you guys, even though Lucky Chief practically just answered everything, everything that he's supposed to be asking, but hey, he's ahead of a game. That's Lucky Chief for you. He's lucky enough to do that.
That's kind of the goal.
Okay.
But
I could ask some questions, but
I'm gonna ask myself first.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask about the thoughts on these pairings, whether they're official, not official, or up to you official, whatever. It doesn't matter. What the idea is clear cut that this is the pairing that he's chose. And even though, again, no confession, no love scene, whatever, doesn't really matter too much, especially the fact it only goes 1 year later, which is not an epilogue. Because like I said, if you wanted to do an epilogue, or maybe you could just do that whole, oh, look at that tiny epilogue scene where you just see a kid that looks like Nasu Jr. So, that means he must have family with Lucy then. It's kind of one of those things. He didn't do that because, I'll save this for another topic. But going back to the pairings, at least it didn't try to betray itself. I never thought of it, but I jokingly say like, all right, time to see Nasu and Lizana being pairing together. Woo! I'm so hyped. So none of that happened. None of that BS happened. Thank God. And even if it's like up to interpretation, it doesn't matter. It's still clear cut from this chapter. My point is, it doesn't really try to betray itself, or it doesn't do a lot of wacky things. It's if what you saw from the entire series is what you're really going to get in the end. It's just that Ganjo went one step ahead, but I digress. Point is, a lot of these characters, a lot of these pairings are pretty much like are going to hit it off in the future being. Like with Gray and Juvia, that's really coming true. That's really coming true more and more. And it's funny how like the way how Gray centered his word, he pretty much suggested we're going to get their version of Tokyo Ghoul Red. That's pretty much what they're trying to suggest.
I guess maybe Hero's a Tokyo Ghoul fan.
Well,
I know exactly what you're referring to, and if that's the case, then
that's why Wendy blushed, because the way he sent it made it sound like, yeah, we're gonna have our time now.
It's like, I'm wondering, are they doing it in public or what?
I don't know, but that was extremely, yeah. But what I like about the whole pairing thing, and this is always a good thing for me when it comes to pairing. This reflects to every series, no to man. Is that when it comes to pairings, I like what their own chemistry has, and I like what the characters portray it in that relationship. So what Mashima did in this last chapter was satisfying for me, because everybody were acting themselves. Everybody would have their own ways to show either love or definitely getting there, which is just give it time, with the whole Nasu part where he's like looking so serious. Lucy was ready for anything, but then he killed it, which, by the way, reminiscent to the first chapter. If you go back, it's the exact same thing. Just not for Lucy waiting for a kiss or anything. It's just more like, yes, that's it. Like a normal soon to be friends, which they end up being much more than that, of course. But the point is, Nasu is still Nasu. He loves his journey. He loves his adventure. The whole Urza and Jiao complication relationship. But the fact that she started brushing her hair every day now pretty much signified, yeah, this relationship is going to work in the future. And you had to remember the old chapters. You had to remember her backstory. And it reflects that. And I was like, oh, that's nice. I'm surprised Mashima remembered that. So you got that. The Gray and Juvia thing, it has that funny way of showing it. Even though, again, we're probably going to have maybe somewhere down the line, somebody's going to do a fan-made drawing of 125 with Gray and Juvia. Just give it time, guys. Give it time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's probably some smart art of it somewhere.
And again, if we go back to if he cares about his character too much, we got the whole Mavis and Zerov reincarnation, whatever you want to call them. pretty much acting the way they would have acted if life was much, much better for them. It's pretty much like that. He tackled fun at Laxus because Laxus doesn't have a real 100% pairing choice, a love interest choice, you want to say. So it was funny how he started with Mira because that was one thing that Mashima kind of poked fun to begin with. So now it's like, are you trying to trolling with us, Mashima? That's pretty much what it was. But like I said, all these relationships, they're like, they have their own satisfaction because they have their own chemistry. They have their own ways to portray themselves in the relationship, and everybody sticks to the characters rather than make you trying to think, how the hell that happened? How exactly they got together? I can't see it. I just can't see it. And seeing the character, like I understand, people grow up. I get it. People grow up. They start talking manly or womanly, whatever. But that's the thing. When you use the epilogue to cheat your way out of there, it's like, that's cheap. That's like so cheap. I can't feel anything for that pairing. I can't feel anything because I don't know what they were doing. I don't know how they got together. It's like, that's what I have problems with pairings that use the epilogue. Now, if you could use it as a comedy part, fine, whatever. But in this case, it's comedy, but it's actually also satisfying and pretty touching in some of the pairing parts. But point is, you get a good amount of satisfaction from these interactions, these relationships. And that's what I like about this ending, because even if you're not a pairing fan, you can still see it and you can still comprehend that Mashima has put a lot of work into the pairing. Again, Gajo went step ahead of everyone, but he's Gajo. He's the man. So
yeah, Gajo's probably the best of the side characters.
Yeah, I'm just glad he had that, even though a cop-out death, shiny moment. I'm just glad he has a shiny moment.
He did have a little bit of an off-screen moment before the final arc started, so there's that.
I'm referring to the bath scene.
Not the bath scene. I'm talking about like when Gajo's sleeping and Levy's sleeping, and you get like the belt buckle just like sitting on the corner. I was like, oh, that's happening.
Yeah. So yeah, my overall thoughts on the pairings, I thought they're pretty good. So, LuckyChi, you already kind of answered, but if you want to say in a summarized version, be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I've already kind of said my point on the pairing, so I kind of say the same thing as you. I've kind of just like, kind of reiterating here. Like, I think the three big ones, again, for me, were Jalal and Urza. Like, it's not officially yet, but it's kind of like semi-confirmed. The biggest one, Gajo and Levy. And, I guess you could say the Zareth and Mavis ship. You could say that thing's kind of not exactly canon, but they're kind of just like going off in a corner and kind of it's like planting the seed almost for that. So you got that, and then you got the Evergreen and Elfman ship, which I'm surprised we actually mentioned that up. Which I want to touch on this real quick. Elfman has a ponytail. What the hell?
I should notice that too.
I think it's just it's a time skip, so we're not going to change the characters' looks by aging, so we're just going to change their clothes and hairstyle.
That just threw me off. I was like, wait, is that Elf? What the hell? I was like, I'm sure Evergreen was behind that. I highly doubt Elfman would have gone with that look personally.
I mean, it's not manly enough.
That's new now. That's the in trend in whatever year they're in. Well, actually, it's just 1 year, 793, right? Yeah. So I guess that's the new thing.
So you got them, you got the Groovia thing, and then you got Nalu, which I think you can just take it like it's either way, and I'm totally fine with that. Honestly, I really am. So I'm honestly just fine with them.
Plus, maybe the anime will actually emphasize even stronger. So get your hopes on that one.
I'm not sure because the animators Lasana fans, so who knows?
Well, I beg to differ because you got that ending, but if you watch the anime further, they're definitely Nalu fans all the way.
Fair enough.
It's like the SP love for Naruhina and Narasako at one point combined. That's how much love they show.
Fair enough.
Although I guess I could say if the Nolly thing, which I don't think it's going to happen now, but if it comes to that debate, like I feel like compared to Naruki, at least Nolly has some kind of bare bones behind it in some way, shape, or form.
That's a good.
That's
a pretty good
polarized, but, you know.
Let's see now. All right. Should I talk about my thoughts on the pairings?
Yeah, sure.
Go for it.
Well, I'll be honest. I don't think I particularly care about Fairy Tail ships, or at least at one point I did, but I just didn't really care. Because I was just kind of like, because at this point I was kind of like, I just reading Fairy Tail for habit, but in a way I'm kind of glad how the pairings, the couples ended as they did. Let's see. I think the best developed one is definitely Gadgel and Levy. Let's see how they originally started about, as they originally met with like Gadgel attacking her and her friends, which is going to be an awkward talk with their twins in the future. And they're going to be like, Mommy, Daddy, how did you two met? Let's see. And they just respond, your daddy attacked me. And they're like, and beat me up and stuff. And they're like, what? With like, when Gadgel, then later Gadgel joins the guild, Levy's kind of scared, but Gadgel starts being all nice and stuff and refuses to fight Jet and Droid because he wants to be a part of the team, and even saves Levy from attack from Luxus. It starts showing
Sasuke.
It's still kind of like showing signs that Levy's starting to warm up to him. There's no real big hints of romance until Tenru Island, where Gadgel just decides to team up with Levy because he couldn't become an S-class mage yet, but he just wanted to take part in all the fights and said, I'll make you an S-class mage, which Levy kind of gets a bit crushes on. She originally gets annoyed with Gadgel because all he's thinking about is fighting, which eventually makes her run off for him, but then gets attacked by two Guillermo Hearts members, which then Gadgel comes in and saves the day, gets his butt beat, but still manages to beat the two guys, which I think this is when, Levy started to finally fall in love with Gadgel, or started crushing on him completely, something. Let's see. And then there's like some subtle hits throughout the next few arcs with like a few teases, like I think Lucy teasing Levy about wanting to go to Gadgel for their training kind of thing. During the Grand Magic Games arc. Then later it's Tartarus, where we have that. Let's see, they team up to get. Well, yeah, the Underwater Kiss, and also I think they went together to search for the Council Mage member. But then there's that. Let's see. Of course, then they have the Underwater Kiss. Then we learn that those two are working together with the Magic Council. Let's see, Gadgel. Let's see, and I think by then it's possible that they've become a couple. I'm not entirely sure. Possibly, or they're just nearly there. And of course, the Avalon Empire thing. Which of course ends with. Let's see. Sorry, cat's messing about. Let's see. Of course, possibly Gadgel dying, and then him just confessing that he wanted to spend more time with Levy or something like that. Which, when he turns out he didn't die, he was like, oh my god, I just confessed that. I have no idea how to handle this. And then just have a fun reunion of stupid Gadgel. And then that was that. Let's see, for Groovia, like I said before, I originally did not really care for the ship or like it because it was more like one-sided thing, and I think also during the time I was beginning to get annoyed with one-sided crushes. Let's see, because I think that was during the time I was starting to move away from Narahina to Naosaku, which, I didn't really care. Also, it seemed like Gray was not going to recuperate those feelings after the Grand Magic Games. We just kind of said, I don't, and stuff. But then it did kind of get more mature and deep with the Tartarus Act, with the whole silver thing, which Juva then admits that she doesn't really have the right to love Gray for what she's done and stuff, but Gray is kind of thankful for what she's done and stuff, hinting a deep connection where the two train together and stuff, and led to a few funny moments where Groovia tries and says that we slept together, which Lucy and Wendy go like, kind of thing, but turns out they didn't think because Gray did not that. But it seems like Juvia has now gotten the strip habit. And then, of course, there's like the whole chapter 499, which was really touching, although, but then it became immediately frustrating with chapter 500. Yeah, it's frustrating no matter how you see it. But hey, but the two are together thing, and I assume they're a couple. Although it makes me wonder if they're going to be completely stripped at all when they're just alone in the house together. Thing. I'm trying to make a joke here. Probably a poor one, but hey.
Sorry.
Yeah, those two are going to be nudists in the house.
I fear for the kids, but
yeah, the kids are going to get the stripping habits.
Well, I say Natsu and Lucy technically did it first, so yeah. Yeah, they might end up being, they've seen each other naked so many times, it's just like, just screw clothes. Let's see, Zerf and Mavis, it's fine as that they did it, although it's still a bit iffy on the whole reincarnation thing, but hey. Let's see, Laxus honestly didn't care who he ended up with, so I don't have any issues. I mean, just joking about it is fine. Elfman and Eva, that was always going to happen. I mean, Tenor Island pretty much hinted it. Granted, they never really had any deep moments after that, but honestly, that's fine. Let's see. Anyway, for Natsu, Lucy, there are times when I'm shipping it and times when I'm not. I mean, I did kind of ship it a bit when it was kind of like, let's see, Naolu and Naosaku were quite similar and stuff, you know, since both shipping fandoms have either the same members as a part of both pairing things or they get along because of the similarities. Let's see, so yeah, let's see, but at the same time, as time went on, I was wondering, when after Naosaku did not happen and stuff, and people were like, oh, now Louis, I'm kind of liking, do I really want to associate Naosaku with Naolu? Because Fairy Tail, in a sense, has an even worse reputation than Naruto, at least with, the YouTube community. As they rant more about Fairy Tail than they have ever ranted about Naruto. I mean, I'm not going to ignore that fact. Let's see. Where was I going with this? So, because I was wondering, should I really want to associate these two ships together? Because it's kind of implying that, because at the time I didn't know how Fairy Tail was going to end and stuff. If Fairy Tail ends badly, but now it really happens. Let's see, it's kind of implying that Naosaku fans would have been okay with a bad Naruto ending as long as Naosaku became canon. Of course, for Fairy Tail, I'd say it ended on an average note, so I'm fine with it. Yeah, I mean, face it, let's see, the way it ended, it's fine, because Natsu wouldn't go out and straight out kiss. Now, granted, he'd probably be a bit more casual about it, given that Omake chapter where he was looking after the two gun majors' little girl stuff, and she orders Natsu to kiss Lucy, and Natsu says, "Okay, fine, let's do it," and stuff, and he's all casual, and Lucy's no, kind of thing. So yeah, I'm totally fine with the shipping. Oh yeah, I suppose I should mention Ritzy, Ezra, and Juro. I'm fine with that as well. Okay. Well, that's all good to hear. So yeah, I guess we're all like fine, good, pretty good, whatever. So yeah, that's good to know. It's a better refreshing than whatever random pick your, I don't know, pick a card, choosing pairing moments that other series we've been reading, or at least I've been reading.
Guys, let's see here.
I mean,
Dice is under 3.
it's and I know I get it. I get it, everybody. I get it as shonen. I get it that the romance is not the priority. I understand that.
At least do it right, or at least subtle.
Just do it so simple. And nobody really does it complicated. It's funny because we have so many series that Shonen Jump recently has. Now, a lot of them were involved with romance. And a lot of them were like straightforward, super straightforward. Now, that being said, some of them are canceled, but I digress. The point is, one of the popular series is a straightforward pairing series. But the romance is not the main focus. It felt like it was the main focus because it has that first chapter with the whole "I will save you one day, no matter what." I'm pretty sure I know what Lucky. I'm pretty sure LuckyChi knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but it didn't go too much depth of the romance because that's not the focus. The focus is really about something else, something that's really worth adventuring, and that's cool. You can have romance still. Yeah, why not? I'm just saying romance doesn't have to be a main genre unless it really is a main genre. Rom-com, I guess you could call it that too. But point is, even if it's not romance, it doesn't excuse you to do something rather stupid with it. You know, at least that's what I think. And a lot of series usually go with a very straightforward path because it's the easiest way to go with the pairing. It's like, okay, let me just do it very simple. I'm not going to go so hardcore, so dramatic, melodramatic. I'm not going to do all that stuff. I'm just going to throw this pairing and boom. Now everybody could leave me alone and just focus what I really want to write. That's all you have to do. That's all it needs to be.
Yeah.
So here's the question, though. Now we've got the pairing out of the way and all that stuff. Hiro Mashima is going to work on a new series, but that's not the question I'm going to ask yet. What I'm going to really ask is that we don't know what he's going to work next. We don't know what he's going to work on. We don't know what genre. We don't know if it's even shonen, same magazine, whatever. Most likely it will be the same magazine. Most likely it will be shonen. But the question is, even if it doesn't happen right away, did this ending leave any opening for a sequel or for a return to give us a definitive conclusion?
I feel like this kind of hints that there could be some smaller scale adventures in the future. Maybe one or two things about potential, fairy tale kid, but nothing that defines like a big major spin-off or sequel.
As for me, that's kind of funny because, and I saw your review on the Sparda, and I totally agree with it, but I kind of think of like Yu-Gi-Oh! In a way. I know it's like a weird analogy, but think of it like this, because when the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime series ended, it was a good finale, but it still kind of had that small crack saying, we could come back to this. And, surprisingly enough, like 11 years later, they come back with an epilogue movie. And that, like, the way how that film turned out, not only was it fantastic, but it completely closed the door on the original series. And I thought that was actually great. And that's kind of something I kind of saw with this ending, too. I was kind of thinking, like, okay, so it's a good ending, but it's also kind of like Hiro saying, we could come back to this. We could. And if it does happen, then more than likely, I think that would probably be the definitive conclusion. Now, whether or not it's going to be like a spin-off manga or, say, I don't want to say GT, but no.
Oh, God, no.
Definitely not GT, but or like an epilogue film, then I would really be fine with that. That wouldn't find that as an issue. But It's a matter of how long would it take before we get it. Because, and going back to Naruto a little bit, and I feel like this was one of the biggest things, for me at least, that Naruto's biggest disadvantage was that as soon as it ended, we got the epilogue movie. We didn't wait years or anything. It was like immediately after. And it's kind of just like, well, huh? Because one of the big things I favored Battle of Gods was the fact that we waited almost, 19 years or something before that came out?
I think it's 13 years. I think.
Mm-hmm.
And when I take that into consideration, and again, bring back Yu-Gi-Oh! That was 11 years ago when that series ended. And it was until then, we didn't get anything. And now it's like, you got that definitive conclusion. So, I would say, yes, there's a chance it could happen, but I would give it maybe 5 or 6, or because I know Hero likes to play on the number a lot, maybe 7 years.
Let's see.
That's my guess.
That's actually a good guess. In many ways, it's a good guess because it is a number that everybody likes to associate with, and it's a number that Mashima has been using in his stories as of late. So there's that too.
It's also possible that they might do some more of those spin-off mangas because, Fairy Tail has quite a few spin-off mangas like Fairy Girls, Blue Minstrel, Ice Trail, the Sabretooth one, and Gadget one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a lot. I mean, like, my God. They even had a magazine once in a while, Now it was One Piece doing that, which is kind of funny because remembering the past, I still remember to this day with that forum was like seeing that first color page of the first chapter and everybody was like, One Piece? Is this One Piece? Are they trying to make a fake One Piece? Oh my God. This is good.
Are you referring to that chibi comic one or
the whose comic?
A chibi kind of One Piece comic.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
I know. I just remember on Manga Fox, there's like this chibi One Piece comedy series. It's kind of like Rock Lee kind of style thing, but okay. But I guess that's not what you're referring to. My mistake.
No, that was just straight up from the community themselves. They were like, One Piece? This is One Piece ripoff. What is this? And looking back, you kind of see that resemblance, but I remember more of Raymaster once I figured out who was created from. But anyway, going back with this idea of a sequel, is it possible? The answer to that is yes, it is possible. Will it happen? That remains to be seen. Because here's the thing. The series just ended. Again, if it's an actual sequel, but let's just think about like if there ever be a sequel. I don't know. It does leave it open with a 100-year quest. That's something that people will actually be like, what? I'm actually interested to see something like that. Hell, it could be made into a movie. Now, granted, that would be like there's actually Yu-Gi-Oh did that. So hell, I'll be okay with that because I already got my conclusion. I got my ending from the original source. So if I get a movie out of it, so be it. I would like to see it.
I believe the new Fairy Tail movie, Dragon Cry, will expand a bit more on Acnologia's backstory a bit.
Yeah, it does. It does. I only see a snippet of a clip. It does show the backstory of Arcanogia, which is only reflected in the manga very briefly. But anyway, but going back with the idea of a sequel, it is possible because definitely as of late, both Western and Eastern audience, whatever reason, they likes to go back and complete for a 100% ending. Yu-Gi-Oh got their treatment, and that's great. It's funny because I was like cool with it in the original sense, so I didn't expect to get a sequel or like an actual conclusion. I thought it would just be like a good fan service. I mean, you can still see that, but it does give you a last piece of information that was left behind. So it didn't come back just to say like, hey, look at the nostalgia anniversary moment. Yay, they're back. Cool. Yay, they do stuff. They play Yu-Gi-Oh cards. The end. But instead, it actually has a story to conclude because it was actually left behind. So that's awesome. It did happen a while back with the whole Shaman King conspiracy thing. The whole Shaman King never got a conclusion until he actually came back. It took a long ass time, but the point is he got back and he was told to actually do a conclusion, which we actually did. And it was way better than the first version.
I remember that. That did happen.
Yeah, that first ending was rough.
Are you referring to that Neo Genesis Avalon thing?
No.
No.
Well, you see, that's another one. Well, the final movie hasn't happened, but it is said that it's going to have a lot different ending than what we all know already. But the point is, we're getting like a definitive conclusion to a lot of series, to a lot of things, and even a remake of it, you know, with Evangelion having his own movie series, which hasn't concluded yet. You know, you got this whole Digimon Adventure Tri. Now it's going to have a conclusion, which is getting there slowly but surely. Yu-Gi-Oh! Already got this conclusion. You know, going back in the past, Shaman King has this conclusion. If you want to go to the Western...
Oh, yeah, Shaman King. You were referring to Shaman King. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Right.
They still haven't released the remake ending yet in English, right?
They haven't.
They haven't, huh? Man, that sucks.
Have one day.
One day. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, if you want to look at the Western audience, we just finished Samurai Jack. Hell, I didn't even think we was gonna ever get a conclusion. Ever.
No, either.
So when I saw the conclusion, I was like, wow, I saw a conclusion. Huh?
Sorry, I was just thinking, I just hope the same thing happens to Star Wars The Clone Wars eventually. Sorry.
You never know. Maybe it will happen. I don't know. And then my young childhood memories with Hey Arnold is actually going to have a conclusion too. So, you know, if you're not satisfied with Fairy Tail, maybe you just have to wait longer. I don't know. It is possible, but the chances to happen is, I can't say it's high. I can't say it's low. It's just 50-50.
It's just in the middle right now.
Right. It's just purely in the middle. Maybe, just maybe, if you go Comic-Con, you could ask that guy a question. I'm trying to get myself a ticket just to have fun with Comic-Con and actually trying to see the guy himself, Hiro Mashima.
You can ask him about the Afro happy stuff.
like I promised to the fans in my review, if I do go there, I will ask for you guys, even though a lot of people most likely would beat me to it. It's the whole Nasu and Lucy pairing. If you're not convinced enough with the ending, maybe, just maybe, you have to ask the man himself, and you'll probably get the 100% conclusion from him. I don't know. He probably dodged the bullet, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, that's your only way. Now, again, you could ask him about the sequel there. Comic-Con is your only bet right now, guys. It's your best chance to try to get something out of him. It's your only chance right now. Because if you look at Kishimoto, they have a lot of questions they ask him, not from the crowd, but in the backstage. Because the crowd was more of a very typical one, which is kind of disappointing.
What I heard, they kind of made it exclusive to only Nao, Hina, and Sasu fans. Apparently, they left anyone who supported Nao Saku, Sasu Nara, and Sasu Karin out of the discussion, or thing like that. That's what I heard.
That's the first time for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really true, but the point is, I'm hoping for people to ask the question. I'm hoping people are respectful. But then again, they are, because look what happened to Mashima. He got away. But point is, that time will be your time to get so many questions to be answered. Hell, if you wanted to know what happened to his writing quality, maybe it's your chance too. Just try to ask in a polite way.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but let's see. I'll try to go there. All right. If there's no sequel, well, it doesn't really matter if there is a sequel or not. Here's the one big question to ask. Your overall thoughts on Fairy Tail.
Let's see. Do you want to go first, LuckyChi, or do you want me to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
Overall thoughts on Fairy Tail. I mean, I guess if I want to summarize it in a single sentence, it's been one hell of a ride. I can definitely say that for certain. It has definitely been one hell of a ride. A lot of bumpy roads, for sure. I will say that. We've definitely had a bunch of bumpy roads, a couple of, I wouldn't say close calls, but definitely very frustrating bits, just small, tiny little inkling. Well, you guys know what I'm referring to and which character I'm referring to, but that's kind of obvious. So, my overall thoughts on Fairy Tail, I want to say this. It had potential to be one of the best series. Now, I'm not saying that it sucks, because I don't think that's the case. I think Fairy Tail could honestly be seen as kind of like an average to an okay series. And I'm only saying that because when you look at some of the fights that happen in the series, you're kind of still going like, really, like that's it. But the other thing is you have to look further beyond that. You got to look at like the overall story too. And for the most part, I think the story works. At least that's what it was up until the not Avatar, although I would kind of question that too. At least up until the Alvarez arc, because once that arc started kicking in, I don't want to say it fell apart completely. Actually, funny, I don't know if you guys would agree with me on this, but I feel like it was kind of similar to Bleach in a lot of ways, where the first half of the Alvarez arc I actually thought worked in a lot of ways. But then, kind of like with Bleach, after you get to the whole Ice Palace stuff, with Fairy Tail's final arc, I feel like Universe 1 kind of just flipped the table and just said, yeah, we're gonna go back to those roots now, which I feel like really kind of like detracted from a lot of the stuff that happened. Like a lot of like the build-up that we had gotten in like previous arcs, kind of like the END thing, which again was like a huge thing that was going to be brought up, and it kind of, in a sense, got turned into a joke, and it's like, really? Like, that's it? And even characters like Zeref, too, and Aknologia, which, again, they were like, the big guns in the series. Like all the hints and all, like, the foreshadow, it's, like, hinted at, like, especially Aknologia. Aknologia was, like, the end-all, be-all final villain, which, I want to say this. At least with his fight, okay, one half of it, you're kind of just like, okay, you could have done it a lot better. The other half, you're like, it was interesting. Like, I definitely think the other half, the stuff that happened with Lucy, was where I was like, you know what? That was kind of creative. The other half, you could have done a lot better. And again, I could say the same thing with the Spriggans. So, like, the Spriggans themselves could have been handled a lot better, in my personal opinion. And, I mean,
I feel like Brandish became a joke a bit when with the way she got captured.
Oh, yeah. And one of the biggest things for me, as soon as I found this out, like, was the whole Natsu and Zeref, like, relationship. The fact that they were brothers. Like, once that got dropped, because that was hinted since, if I remember correctly, Tenor Island. Like, their whole relationship, like, that was ambiguous for a long-ass time. And once you got to that point, you're kind of just there going like, holy shit, that makes a lot of sense. Like, the fact that they're brothers and the way Zeref's acting the way he does, it makes total sense. And I thought it was building up to something grand. Thus, we get to the fight, which initially starts off good. Like, I think the biggest thing with at least the two final fights is the way the fight ends. That's it. I feel like if you tweak the endings of the fight, then those final fights could have probably been better. But more so with Zeref. I feel like the whole Natsu and Zeref, like the way how that whole thing concluded, it felt very lackluster to me because it was kind of like this big deal and it kind of went nowhere. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but that's how I personally feel about that.
Yeah. I honestly feel like the whole END thing didn't really amount to anything since Natsu just remained an average human, didn't even transform for a bit. Honestly, I even found some of the reactions to be a bit disappointing because I was expecting a bit more of a shock from everyone in the Fairy Tail Guild about Natsu being the Book of End or being Zerf's brother, but that only really happened with like Gray and the members from Mermaid Heel and let's see, Sabretooth.
I mean, the only big one aside from Gray that took that to heart was Happy. That's it.
Yeah.
Everybody else seemed like surprisingly cool. I was like, you guys aren't worried about this?
It's kind of like how I was like with Naruto, like let's see, it seemed to kind of skip the entire bit about, oh my gosh, Naruto's father is the fourth Hokage.
Yeah.
Or Ichiko's dad is a Soul Reaper.
Yeah.
Very nonchalant these people are these days.
Yeah.
It's like a normal thing for them now.
I feel like the only one that done it right was Oda when he revealed that, Luffy, your father is Monkey D. Dragon, a revolutionary and the most wanted man in the world. And everyone's like, what?
Yeah, I mean, like, and see, I thought because of, like, some of the other relationships that are handled, like Gray and Silver, like, when you find out who Silver is, like, it was kind of, like, I thought it was going to be one of the two, but not only was it cool, but the payoff that you got at the end, I thought was actually kind of, it was beautiful. So, I expected something like that between Natsu and Zeref, and you didn't even get that.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping, let's see, with Silver that he did turn out to be Dralula, but still, the payoff of that fight was pretty good.
But yeah, going back to what I was saying though, before I got into that little tiny bit of a rant, but it's like this: Fairy Tail started off like it was kind of going slow. It went a little bit higher, like by Edless and Tenro Island, with a few little bumps. We kind of got down with the Grand Magic Games, kind of picked it up again with Sun Village, just a little, like just by a bit. Tartarus brought it back up with some bumps. In one big bump, which I think we all know. I think you both know who I'm referring to when it comes to that. Well, besides that,
because she's awesome.
We were on a high point, especially when you end off the Tartarus arc the way you did, because I don't know if you guys like felt like an Empire's ending type of like the Empire Strikes Back feel, because that's what I felt when I got to that point. I was like, oh shit, like, this ain't a joke now. It isn't a joke. So it got from there. Avatar was kind of slow. It was kind of building up to something, but then it fell. And then the first half of the Alvarez arc, like I said before, it went back up again. And then, again, once Universe 1 kicked in, you kind of just went like on this like up and down spiral. It was kind of just like, okay, it went up for a bit, then it went back down. It went back up, and then the ending, I feel like, did bring it up. I'll definitely say that. But my overall thoughts on like just the Fairy Tail series, just in retrospect of everything, like I said before, I think like as far as the ending goes, I think it's like an okay plus to arguably a good. But my overall thoughts on the series, and again, given with what we've had to deal with and like how things have turned overall. I mean, it's like I said before, had you'd fix a lot of the stuff, like, you know, like some of the BS moments and tweak some tiny story thread like here and there, I think Fairy Tail probably could have been one of the best series in the current manga verse, if you will. But because we're dealing with what we have, I think Fairy Tail is honestly kind of just like an okay series at best. That's for me personally.
Let's see. Okay, for me, Fairy Tail in a way started off as a good B+ manga. I mean, it was not something like deep or serious like, let's say, One Piece. Let's see, I suppose One Piece is a bit fun and lighthearted, but it gets a bit more mature and stuff like that. It isn't as complex as like Hunter x Hunter. And it didn't really have any big themes of like hard work and teamwork and stuff like that as Naruto did. And it didn't have any like big corrupt societies in the ways that Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece tackled and stuff like that.
Right.
Granted, let's see, only One Piece has so far managed to handle that, right? Let's see. So it was just like a fun adventure series. Let's see. Heck, in some ways, it did things a bit more right than the Big Three did. for example, you can disagree or not disagree with this, but let's see. One thing I think Fairy Tail did that I think got people hooked on it, that they've been quite frustrated with the big three for some time, is that in Fairy Tail we got quite a lot of female character developments in, let's see, themselves as a person, their friendships with other people, not just their crushes, and the fact that they're getting a lot of action and stuff. And the fact that some of them were quite powerful because, face it, each of the big three have their gender issues. Naruto, I'm pretty sure it's pretty much obvious. Bleach for a long time doesn't use their characters and does end up having a bit of some of the problems that Naruto has, and sometimes goes too far with the fan service a bit. Let's see. And One Piece has this particular gender stereotypes with what kind of powers they have, who damages them, and it definitely overplays the dead mother trope, but I suppose this could be a discussion for another day. Let's see. And another thing that I think it also did is that each character got enough focus during the early arcs when it came to the main cast. I mean, let's see. Besides Natsu, there was an arc to focus on each of the characters. Lucy got an arc, Gray got an arc, and Urza got an arc about their pasts and all that stuff, how they became fairy tale mages. In a sense, it did what I think like Naruto should have done after the Land of Waves arc, and had an arc that focused on each of the new Team 7 members. One for Sakura, one for Kakashi, and one for Sasuke, and possibly introducing some side characters before doing the big tuning exams, so that they have more abilities and skills just to prepare for that, since it felt kind of odd that, let's see, immediately after this one big mission, they do an entire exams that could promote them to tuning. Let's see, One Piece, I'd probably still did it the best with Luffy recruiting like 4 members before heading off to the Grand Line. And Bleach, I think, had a mixed success where, let's see, it did all these these old mini arcs where each goes fighting the monster of the day, where we learn a bit about his friends and his powers and stuff, although granted not all of them ended up having powers, because I think Cooper was forced to rush into the big Soul Society arc. For better or for worse, who knows how that would have turned out if he stayed longer. But I think as time went on, as Fairy Tail went a bit deeper and a bit darker in some cases, it tried to cop out of fully sticking with it. I mean, I think particularly with the biggest problem Fairy Tail definitely had during the last few arcs, like Tartarus and the Elven Empire arc, is that its refusal to kill its supporting or major cast members. Let's see, I don't recall how Hiro described it, but he said he wouldn't put them in a scene where they're permanently dead or not, where it's like they're alive, but it's like, which I kind of I'm not sure how he described it, but it was kind of bullshit, since he made some characters appear like they're going to die, then last minute or next chapter, oh wait, turns out they're not dead, and kind of thing. I think
he mentioned one of the volume afterwards. I can't remember which one it was, but I know it was in one of them.
Yeah, because let's see, now, truthfully, I don't mind if a manga series doesn't kill off characters. And granted, back during Naruto's some characters should die and stuff like that, but I kind of calmed down from that kind of thing. I mean, I don't mind if characters live and stuff. I mean, One Punch Man, My Hero Academia, and Assassination's Classroom, they're really good, but they don't really kill off their characters and stuff, with maybe a few exceptions. But it's mainly because they avoid doing a serious death, like they can't come back kind of thing. Fairy Tail, on the other hand, has many of those moments where it's like this character is going to die for good, but oh, turns out, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't die. He or she doesn't die. They're still alive somehow. Kind of thing. Let's see. The most frustrating cases are Juvia, Gadgil, and Makarov, who should have died at least 3 or 4 times. Let's see. Also, another problem with Fairy Tail is that, let's see, it was getting a bit lazy with how it would end its fights. I mean, back in like the early arcs, there were like clever ways in how Natsu and Ko would defeat their opponents, and sometimes they would lose the opponents. I mean, one example I can think of is when Natsu and Gadjo teamed up against Luxus. Natsu's Iron Thing was used as a conduct while Natsu did all the heavy hitting against Luxus before time runs out and stuff. Let's see. That's one example. But let's see, after like Tenro Island arc, you just didn't see Fairy Tail mages lose that much. I mean, granted, there's a few losses during the beginning of like the Grand Magic Games, but then it just became them being invincible, and doing these impossible feats.
Right.
Let's see. It's kind of, I suppose it started kind of on the 3rd day where Luxus just took out all members of Raventail, which I felt like was a missed opportunity to develop Raventail and stuff. I feel like they should have gotten their own arc thing, but hey. I just felt that was kind of rushed in and stuff, but I digress. And then with like Natsu versus Sting and Rogue, along with Gadju, I mean, it just came to the fight was good for most part until like the final bit where Natsu just takes them both on by themselves in normal mode. He doesn't go in Dragon Force or
Lightning
Fight. Yeah, I mean, it did this whole big thing about it, but it just seemed to kind of got dropped of like the Grand Magic Games, and you'd think Natsu would use it more often and stuff.
Right.
Let's see. And then it came to Urza's fight, which originally many people like loved Urza. I mean, she would be in like top 5 or top 10 female character lists. I remember King of Lightning in the chapter with like where Urza takes on 100 monsters. You don't fully see it, but the way it's done is just so awesome. And like, yes, go Urza. And he was like, she's in the top 5. But when it came to like her fight against Kaguya and Miranda, when Kaguya pulls out the sword, she somehow beats him, and then later beats Minerva with this magic armor that can break the rules.
I feel like that's when it really started going downhill for her.
Yeah, it's like she went down from one of the best female characters to one of the worst. Pretty much a female Batman.
I know, and that's the thing. It got worse and worse with each fight because you had that. Then you had the fight with Kyoka and Tartarus, and then you get the final one with Irene, and it's like each one got worse.
It's like
I didn't think that was possible after the Tartarus.
Yeah, like and in many ways, it's like the worst fight I have ever read in manga. And I'm including the Kaguya, I'm including the Naruto versus Kaguya and Ichiko versus Jura Bakun. And some of the other bullshit fights that those 2 series have had. And let's see, should I go on with like, and Natsu just kind of became invincible thing. He could defeat anything. When he used to lose to an extent back in the old series, but now he was just invincible. Heck, the last time you could say Fairy Tail majority loss was against Acnologia. That was it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I mean, Knuckles had a couple defeats like here and there after the Grand Magic Games, at least.
I felt like he was more tolerable.
Yeah.
Let's see, which one? Natsu or Gray?
Natsu.
Oh, Natsu. I suppose compared to Urza, Natsu's victories were a bit more tolerable, but in many ways, it could have been corrected if he just went like Dragon mode or Demon mode or something like that. I mean, with like the Natsu and Surf one, I mean, we knew he was going to win, but it would have been more acceptable if he went in dragon mode or demon mode. I mean, or end mode, because it's like when it does happen, it's like usually we're like, no power-ups, it's bullshit. But when it came to like the Natsu versus Surf thing, it was, just do a power-up. At least that makes sense in a sense.
Well, the E&D thing was built up like since the Sun Village arc, so you would think it would make sense to throw that in there.
But it feels like Hiro Mashima tried to avoid it because he felt like if he did it, it'd be like a permanent change. In a way, I feel like Hiro Mashima was trying to avoid any bittersweet moments with the series. I mean, face it, it's one of the reasons why all these characters that could have died ended up not dying. I mean, I can see cases where, let's see, Mira Jane, Elfman, and Evergreen dying in Tenero Island along with Makovo, and later Wendy dying in Tartarus. Let's see, Mirenva and Lasana dying again. And in like the the Alva Empire arc, you have like, hold on a second. No, kitty cat. Don't eat the banana skin.
Sorry about that. He's looking for happy.
Sorry. Dad's cat likes to play with things. Let's see. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. The Alva Empire arc. You have Gajo dying. No, wait, turns out it's not the case. Juvia dying. No, wait, that turns out to be the case. Potentially Grey dying. Turns out that's not the case. Makrova dying for like the third or fourth time. Turns out he comes back to life. Look, I get it not killing off characters, but don't get rid of the suspense. I mean, One Punch Man and My Hero and Assassination Classroom, like I said earlier, don't kill off the characters, but they keep the suspense of how close they are to dying. Heck, I can even think of some Western examples like Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Well, it's set between episode 2 and episode 3, so you know that any character that survives into Revenge of the Sith or the original trilogy is not going to die, but it's managed to keep suspenseful by killing off some characters that's either introduced in the show or were in previous movies but didn't appear in Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to say that Hero's not capable of killing off characters, because believe it or not, I mean, I know you haven't read Raid Master, but he is capable of doing that.
Yeah, and I know he's capable of killing off characters because he's done it even in Fairy Tail.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Simon is one example.
Oh yeah, Ignil's another one.
Let's see, Ignil, yes, and the other dragons, although I felt like that was kind of like just the reason not to have the dragons around later on.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, but it is what it is. Let's see, and he pretty much has the entire Magic Council slaughtered.
That's true, he did, yeah, that did happen.
Which, in a certain way, it's good, yeah, but I do kind of wish that we got a bit more of this new Magic Council that would be even more at odds with Fairy Tail, but I think that might have been just a drop storyline. Oh, well.
Yeah, Lucy's dad when they died. Well, that was awesome, but...
Yeah, but so, and there are some bad guys that do die later on in Fairy Tail.
I mean, you could say Mavis died, technically.
Yeah, but she was a character from a long time ago, so I'm not sure how much you should count it.
Yeah.
I mean, see, Makarov should definitely have been dead. I mean, he definitely fits the Obi-Wan, Dumbledore kind of mentor role thing.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, I'm not sure who should have been like next Guildmaster, probably Laxus or Guildarts, but hey.
I would have gone for Laxus. At the point where that in the story, probably would have been Laxus.
Yeah. Let's see, I feel like another character that, I think another problem with Fairy Tail is it started to get doing too much fan service. Now granted, I will admit, when I first got into Fairy Tail, I learned it through like a fan-made fight between Lucy and Nami, and it did a bit of fan service kind of thing. And I will admit, part of the interest besides Fairy Tail looking into it, because it was like a magic world, and it was like, I think at the time regarded as the unofficial Big Four of the Big Three manga. Now I think it's regarded as the Big Three worst manga with Naruto and Bleach. I think, let's see, the big three that were popular at the time were One Piece, Hunter x Hunter, and Toriko. But anyway, let's see. I will admit, during when I first got into Fairy Tail, I was kind of like hitting puberty, so I was only kind of okay with like minor fan service at the time. But as it went on, it was too much in your face. It was like interrupting the story. And some of it was, I would even argue, a bit problematic, particularly when they started having Wendy in bath scenes. Granted, it wasn't really over-sexualized with Wendy, but I was kind of like referring to like the Urza torture scenes.
I think it really started to happen like during the Grand Magic games too, because I feel like that's when it really started to ramp up, was like that particular arc. Because I mean, there were moments like here and there, like prior to that, but it wasn't too like the Grand Magic games. Because I remember when I was reading that, I was like, okay, what just happened?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it kind of just like kept going up and up.
Now, when it comes to like media and sex, or something sexual or fan service, whatever you want to describe it, I honestly don't mind. Granted, there are some people that go outrageous and stuff, and there are some cases where I think you can, especially when it comes to like violence, like some episodes of Game of Thrones. But let's see, it's not, as long as you do it subtle, it's fine. But when you overblow it, it's like, just stop it and stuff. Because I think one criticism of Lucy is that it seemed like Hero was just using her for eye candy fan service, not as a serious female lead character. If you guys agree.
Yeah, I felt too, which is honestly kind of unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she had Spotlight, which is good, but I feel like the fan service parts, especially on her, kind of like
it kind of balanced it out in a strange way. Like honestly, a lot of action she has done was really remarkable on her end. It's just the fan service, I guess you could say, it toning down the highlight. Not as bad with, let's say Sakura, because a lot of people always dismiss the good attributes she has done. But it's understandable because, the thing about her is that the character is really mean a lot, and the character aspect is horrible.
Right.
The only problem is what he said, the eye candy. And that's understandable too. But it's not it doesn't discredit her character, her personality, or anything like that. So
no, I agree with you there, but I just
wish that she didn't get that many fan service just to be on eye candy level.
Because I think it's kind of because it's given everyone the assumption that Lucy is just eye candy fan service thing. I think it's kind of like with Krillin, how he died once or twice, and then everyone just thinks of him as the character that always dies in Dragon Ball. At least that's how I remember it, but hey.
Yeah, and I don't think it was ever like that with Lucy, at least pre-time skip. And I'm talking about like pre-Grand Magic Games time skip. I mean, there have been moments, sure, but I don't think it was ever to like the extent that it has been like, at least.
Yeah, I mean, at worst, it was like a few shower and bath scenes, and then it just went all crazy.
Yeah.
See, I think the worst was like Urza's torture scenes.
Yeah.
That makes you feel really uncomfortable.
Which the anime did make that a lot better.
Still, kind of wish that wasn't the case and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, but I will say, on the positives of Fairy Tail was like some of the character moments. Of the main characters, I'd say Gray had the best character development of them all, because at some point, I feel like Natsu, Lucy, and Erza were stagnated or just got worse as time went on. Mainly Erza. I feel like Gray definitely had the best character development from the time he was in that Crescent Moon Island with Girolo. Let's see. The bit with Oteer. The bit with his father. And him coming to conclusion with the END thing. I definitely say of the main characters, he had the best development. Let's see, I think the main attracting point of Fairy Tail was Zerf and Acnologia. I think Zerf is one of the best villains I have seen in big mainstream mangas. Granted, I haven't read as much as you guys, but I feel he's quite a complex character in a tragic villain type of role. Every action he does makes sense once you learn more about him, particularly his relationship with Natsu. It's just mainly that final fight that just ruins everything.
Yeah, I can definitely agree on that.
And Agnologia is like the perfect example of this unbeatable force that just causes chaos and misery, like this chaos of nature that you cannot stop and stuff.
Right.
As for my overall score on Fairy Tail, I'd give it at best a 6 out of 10, at worst a 5 out of 10. Let's see. Got some good stuff such as great character moments and fun adventure kind of vibe, and got great lore when it comes to like Zerth and the dragons, but it's downplayed by some of the most anticlimactic fights ever, too much fan service, and many cop-out deaths.
I thought the series is just fine. It's a fine series, basically an okay level. I can't say I would recommend the series, but I didn't find myself frustrated with my time being wasted on, and it's not that easy to actually make me say that, because I'm actually a very forgiving guy when it comes to series, when it comes to like medium form, like, oh, okay, that series was pretty let down, but I can't say I can't say I wasted my time for this. I'm just disappointed. That's about it. So when you got me to accomplish to say wasted my time, then you did have a hell of a job. Anyway, with this series, I didn't mind too much. Like, this is a series that will go down that has like a really lot of great potentials, but a lot of them has falter. A lot of them are landing on the disappointing me level. But I would say this. It did remain consistent in his character, because like even if the fighting aspect is all over the place at times, most of the time with Urza, the fact when it comes to the characters themselves is actually remain the same in terms of like what they are, who they are, what they want to accomplish. Everything remains there. It just gets developed. It's like playing a very terrible video game, but the story and the cutscenes are excellent. And you just want to see that part more so than you want to play the game, because the gameplay itself is so crap. It's like, I don't want to play the game. I want to hire somebody to play the crappy game because the control is awful. The camera is so unreliant. Everything is just so terrible. But the story, I love the story. I wanted to know more about this character. I want to know more about that. I'm not saying the story for Fairy Tail is riveting, amazing, or anything like that. My point is the action aspect and the way how it's supposed to pay off for the story is the actual letdown when you really think about it. The characters themselves are, perfectly fine when you really think about what they are, who they represent. And when it comes to like those slice of life moments, it's actually pretty fun to watch them to do some stupid things or to do something they try to work a way around it. And that's why I can't find myself frustrated. I find myself frustrated with other series because the characters betray themselves. The characters go out of their way to do something completely different that I can't even imagine one bit of it. Okay. Anyway, I didn't say that, guys. My point is, I have seen and read series that does that, and it's just completely lopsided. People will say, well, because it's nostalgia, it's okay for that. Or, because it was tended that way. Or, because, we like to laugh at something that's so bad is good thing. And that's already enough for forgiving. But we can't do this for this series. Like I said, if you have a reason to don't like the series, that's perfectly fine. I'm fine with that too. I'm not going to be like, oh, come on, you got to hate the series. Or, oh, come on, you got to like this series. I'm just letting you think what you need to think. But I want you to think for actual reasons rather than just follow a trend. If you do that, then it's like, well, fine. Like, go ahead and hate this because everybody's doing it too. Whatever. You know, I can't have a good discussion with that person because you don't have a real background on it. So with this series, you know, again, I've been following this series for 7 years or 8 years. I'm not sure how you do this math with the whole damn year talk, but whatever. Point is, I have followed this more than 5 years. I understand the premise. I understand the characters. I understand the theme. I understand everything. Hell, the only probably thing I don't understand maybe is the target audience. Maybe it was never meant for like a little older teenager. Maybe it was made a borderline teenager age. I don't know. The fact is that this series does disappoint me, and a lot of mishap of the actions mainly happen because the fighting aspect, the action aspects has gotten stale. It overstays its welcome, and it seems like I don't know if Mashima ran out of ideas to make something original or make something different from the other fights. If he has ran out of ideas, then that's why some of these elements remain the same, and these elements are so repetition from the past. Like the whole Nasu thing, you always see the same thing. You don't see anything that's really different from each other. There's nothing different. It's as if he find a formula that's pretty much tells him if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Maybe that's the model. Maybe that's what he went for. I don't know. Maybe because you gotta think about it. Even though the audience is obviously huge, worldwide huge, United States, Japan, China, whatever. I can't say like everybody hates it. It's hard to say that because we just recently found out like how Japan kind of sees it about Fairy Tail. And Hiro Mashima was voted top 10 favorite mangaka or likable mangaka. Something that's not that easy to get that respect because Mashima was behind there before. But the fact he managed to get top 10 here says a lot. And it kind of tells me like if he's going to be the most hated guy, he should not be in that list at all. So if he's in the list, then that means is it working out fairly in Japan more so than United States? Is United States so damn stubborn for a lot of death scenes or so stubborn for something that's very different? Newer series has spoiled us that every time we see something that Fairy Tail has been doing, which a lot of series has done before as well, frustrates us now. Is it like that now? Did it came in the wrong time? Who knows? I can't even prove you if everybody in Japan loves Fairy Tail. I can't prove you there too. But you can't tell me that everybody in Japan hates Fairy Tail. You can't really tell me. You gotta survey the entire Japan region, and then maybe, just maybe, we find out the truth. So, yeah, like I said, I don't think the series is awful. I don't think it's bad even. Do I think it's good? It's I don't know, like fine. Fine. The way I see fine is like a above average, and I guess that's okay enough for me. Yeah, I mean, if I would have gone to much greater detail, we'd be here for a while. I don't want to do that.
No enough.
Yeah, but my point is like it's just weird that this formula, the same thing that we have seen every other series, at least for me, because I have read crapload, it's the same formula of everything. And if anything, just to go back to the whole Japan thing, if anything, maybe they like this kind of element because why you think the series that's once said the worst manga of the year, Black Clover, yet is getting big in Japan and getting a lot of attention in Weekly Shonen Jump table of content, aka rankings. Why is that? Because maybe they love that formula. Maybe you will probably start thinking, oh, Japan has crappy taste. Forget about them. Who knows? We have crappy taste too.
I mean, UK and US seem to love reality television.
Yeah, we have crappy taste. They have crappy taste. We all have crappy taste. So you can't tell them. You can't say like, oh, their taste is so off. Like again, I feel like sometimes I'm always in this community where it's either like kind of funny that people don't want anime to be like those, not reality TV show, but like those Walking Dead, Game of Thrones. And the closest they have to say that is Attack on Titan. So they feel threatened by that show. They have to hate it so damn much because of it. Even though the hate is very, very little, but it is there. Just because the anime is taking it serious. Rather than like, let's have Joyful, let's have Lolicon. But none of that is here. None of that is there. Nobody has a over-the-top reaction. Well, you have over-the-top reaction, but in their own way. No white eye, no big giant mouth, nothing. Because Attack on Titan is doing what it wants to do. Some of the opinions can be very stubborn. Some of the opinions can be convertible, I guess. I think it's a car. Basically, it can always change, like just like that, just easily like that. But like, oh, I hate this series. Tomorrow, I think the series is not bad. The other day, yeah, I like this series now. Fairy Tail has ended. Mashima is planning to do a new series or maybe a new work. Maybe, I don't know what could be. Will you read that series?
Let's see. I still need to read, Rave Master. Let's see. As for the new series, it depends what he's doing. If it's pretty much, if he's going to keep repeating some of the tired tropes that I did not like in Fairy Tail, such as cop-out deaths, anticlimactic fights, or too much overblown fan service, I probably might not fully read it and just drop it a bit, or just casually read it like I can't do with Boruto. I just skim through it, see what it's doing, and not interested. It's bad, that kind of thing. But yeah, at the moment, yeah, I would look at another series.
As for me now, Sparda knows this pretty well, but with me and Hero, like I go all the way back to Raymaster. Like that's the very first thing that I got exposed to with Hero Mashima, and I didn't even realize that at the time. I really didn't, because when I was reading Fairy Tail, I was kind of like, because it was around the time when the Grand Magic Games was going on, and I remember that time was kind of a dark time, I guess, in terms of the anime community for Fairy Tail. And I remember like people were talking about Hiro Mashima and how he's not like the greatest guy as far as like writing and stuff. And at one point I was like, you know what, maybe they're right. But then I was reading it, and because I was in high school still at the point, like when I was still kind of getting into Fairy Tail, and one of my friends was like, "Wait, you're in Fairy Tail, right?" He's like, "Yeah, from Hiro Mashima." And he's like, "You know what? That's the same guy that wrote Raymaster." I'm like, "What? Get out of here! No way! Wait, like we're talking about the same Raymaster that dealt with Haru and Ellie and all the raves?" And he's like, "Yeah, the same one." I'm like, "What?" And the first thing that I ended up saying is something happened between Raymaster and Fairy Tail, because the quality in writing, like it is like night and day when you compare the two of them. I mean, sure, Fairy Tail does take some inspiration from Raymaster. I've noticed it. It's there. But in terms of quality writing, like Raymaster's got it on point. So when I see Fairy Tail, I see, and especially like looking at it now, I see a lot of potential in Fairy Tail. Like the potential it could have had to like be as good as Raymaster or even surpass that. And ultimately what we ended up getting was kind of like an okay-ish series for Fairy Tail and a great series with Raymaster. I would even argue amazing. So for me, it's kind of like a one-on-one situation. You've had one good series, and you've had one kind of bad, but ultimately turning out to be an okay series.
You know, I kind of think, can I just add in, I kind of think like he should just, like, if he does next series, he shouldn't make it as long as Fairy Tail did. Because
Yeah.
he clearly ran out of steam.
Yeah, because from what I remember, Raymaster was like a shy away from like 300 chapters long, I think. That's how long it ended up being. So it wasn't like too long, but it wasn't like too short either. So with that being said, I would definitely check out his next work. If it's anything like Raymaster in terms of quality, I'm not saying the story has to be the same, but in terms of quality writing, then oh yeah, I'm totally on board for that. And as far again, when it comes to the fan service, because Raid Master has fan service, but it's like very minimal, like 3% minimal. If it's like that, then
Shonen level standards. The standard shonen, I mean.
wait, what do you say?
No, I'm saying like it's like a standard shonen level in terms of fan service. Like it's here and there, but it's never too much. It's just there.
Yeah.
Which
If it's
I
like
can
that,
understand,
sure.
but it is what it is.
Yeah, but like that, then sure, I'd totally be up for it. And that's kind of just me. Like, yeah, I would definitely check out his next work.
So, I'll definitely check out his next work. I'll just go with a lower expectation because of the fairy tale. Like, I don't know what's his status. Is he losing his touch, or is just that fairy tale force him to be in this status because the target audience that he has captured are that kind of fans? And like you look at Twitter, even though it's not from Japan, actually they are from Japan. Comments on his Twitter account, but you still see a lot of real fans that really love his work, that really loves everything that he has done, even with the whole, like the Urza BS, the action being the same old, the disappointing payoff, and so on. You still see those fans, so. Whatever works, I guess. It's hard to say. It's hard to determine if he lost his touch or it's just, the whole fairy tale just has stabilized his target audience and the target routine of his writing. But I'm definitely going to check out his next work. Just go on lower expectations. Just go on the lower expectations just to, save myself from a higher disappointment.
Oh, yeah. And then what's the other thing is, like, Hero is usually like pretty honest about some of the stuff that he's done. I mean, again, one of the biggest things we found out this with even the final arc was the whole Irene thing.
Yeah,
that was planned last minute, and he was honest about that.
Yeah, it's not like he's gonna be like, "Oh, he's planning that thing. That was like the master plan of me." Ha. Urza's the best. It's not like that. Well, I mean, he probably do think highly of Urza, but my point is whenever the plan doesn't work, he will actually admit that.
Yeah.
So I'll give him that gratitude. At least I could appreciate that part.
Let's see.
Okay. So before we end this, me and LuckyChi are YouTubers, technically speaking. And we have our subscribers. We have, well, not a lot, but the point is we have subscribers and we love them all. Because they subscribe to us and they enjoy our content, and that's great. But sometimes those kind of people may unsubscribe you just because you disagree with their choice or you agree over their preference, and then that will cause mayhem. Like, for example, if I were to, let's see, I can't think of another series. Let's just say if I say One Piece sucks, and everybody who loves One Piece should really get out of that series. Just read real manga, watch real anime, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm going to lose a lot of supporters. Now, I don't think that. I'm just giving you an example. So please don't leave. But you may leave after we ask this question. This last question I want to ask all of you guys. Both of you guys.
Okay.
People love to associate Naruto, Bleach, and whatever reason Fairy Tail. And the reason why I say whatever reason Fairy Tail is because Fairy Tail is not under the same publication. It's not even in Weekly Shonen Jump. It's not even in Shueisha. It's in a completely different publication. Hell, it's in the same one as Attack on Titan. It's like polar opposite. It's rather funny. Anyway, my point is that people likes to associate these three as the Trinity, whatever reason why. Maybe the reason is because they are the most popular one in Shonen base in America, at least for United States soil. And that seems to be true. From what I see, that seems to be accurate, which is funny. But now they all has come and gone. Rabbit replaced them with My Hero Academia,
Black Clover,
and
Seven Deadly Sins.
It's not that big in United States, though.
Yeah, granted, but I think it's rising to an extent.
Well, let's see. If the anime could help, that's great. But anyway, back to the topic. So now we got those three. And now they all have ended. Take our chances with our subscribers, LuckyChi, and BlueStarSaber has nothing to lose, which is great. It's time to rank them. Which from the best to the worst of these three, Naruto, Bleach, and Fairy Tail. I'm not going first.
Let's see. Well,
I'm scared to lose my
Naruto,
fans.
if it's like the Naruto and Bleach, and Fairy Tail, if it went up for like Naruto to like Part 1, Bleach to the Soul Society, and Fairy Tail to Tenro Island, I'd probably rank them Naruto, Bleach, and Fairy Tail. Let's see, Naruto up to like the Pain arc, and Bleach up to like the Lost Agent arc or the Execution arc, and then Fairy Tail up to Tartarus. I'd probably be Naruto, Fairy Tail, and Bleach. And and the series as a whole. Fairy Tail, Bleach, Naruto.
You're gonna lose a lot of subscribers or followers in your Tumblr. What have you done?
Probably. I'll probably get a few attacks from Anons.
Oh my god.
But I usually just...
Let's just hope these guys who actually listen to the entire podcast don't reach to this point.
Yeah, no.
I usually handle Anon attacks from with joking, because the last time I was attacked from Anon was during the shipping wars in Naruto. I was talking about how with some users how I don't seem to ever get attacked by Naruhina shippers, and then one just came in and said, "That's because you're not all that important. You're just a sheep." I'm like, that I guess I'm the king of sheep. Hear me, ba.
Okay, I guess I'll go in a similar fashion as what Blue Star just did. So as far as time skips go, for part 1, that's gonna be interesting because I feel Bleach was kind of a little bit slightly better than Naruto. That's just me personally. So I'd probably say Bleach would be number 1. Then I would probably put Naruto and then Fairy Tail, at least for part 1. Part 2, for going with Pain Arc, I'd probably say the Pain Arc, which was Naruto, so that'd probably be number 1. And then Tartarus should be number 2, which I hate saying that because... No, I hate them in a good way because the only thing I can say about the Ironker Saga, the only thing that hurt it was the pacing, because it got super slow during that point.
Yeah.
It wasn't for that. I think the Ironker Saga would have probably been number 2, but that's the only reason why I'm putting that at number 3.
Mm-hmm.
And now for series finale as a whole, I'm going to start with number 3, Naruto, straight up.
Damn, the grudge he has, and now the subscribers.
Now we get the Bleach and Fairy Tail, which
Oh dear.
Okay.
Deal breaker, everyone.
It's gonna be tough. Okay, let me look at it like this. Which one had a more fitting end? Which one had a better ending? And looking at it as a bigger picture. You know what? Bleach would be number 2, and I'm only here's my reason. Bleach would only be number 2 because we didn't get all of our questions answered by the last chapter, because there was still mystery going around when you finished the manga. That's the only reason why I'm putting Bleach at number 2, just because of that reason alone. So number 1, Fairy Tail.
Honestly, I don't think we're going to lose many. You're not going to lose many subscribers, since I think most of them who would have shipped Naruhina or Bleach and stuff might have just already left, or just agreed that the series ended badly.
Take a snapshot. Take a snapshot on the number of your subscribers.
I mean,
I would be doing right now.
I mean, take a look at James. He pisses off Naruhina fans all the time.
Oh yeah,
That's true.
and he doesn't give a rat's ass if you like him or not.
Naruto ending video anyway. And I'm just like, okay, just go away. I don't care.
Anyway, how are you going to rank them, Sparda?
All right. Well, funny thing you mentioned about the whole subscribing loss. I actually gained more subscriber for not liking Bleach ending. I told you this before, Chi. I was like, huh? I got like 6, 7, 8. I forgot how many. I definitely had more than I expected. I was like, did they like me bashing it? Cool. It gives ratings.
Let's see. If I'm looking at my Fairy Tail live reaction, the final chapter, 9 likes and 2 dislikes. Huh, interesting.
How many? What was that?
It was 9 likes and 2 dislikes.
Those 2 must be like a random Japanese fans that probably say like, "Why are you rating it illegal?" Boo. I don't know. I always feel that's the impression. It's always those guys. I'm like, why don't you get? I'm sorry.
Sorry, continue with what you're going to say, and I'll say it afterwards.
No, it's just funny. I always get 2 thumbs down. Not all the time, but when it comes to getting 2 thumbs down, it's always from Japan for whatever reason. I don't know. I mean, I respect that, but it feels like I can't help but feel that it's always about either 2 things. Although this was an actual chapter release, I gotta wait for the actual official. You disappointed me. Thumbs down. Or the other one is like, how dare you read it illegal? Thumbs down.
Let's see, I suppose some people might say I don't have the right to talk about Fairy Tail since I technically haven't really bought or anything Fairy Tail related, which, yeah, it's true because I don't really support, because it's in a sense I'm not really supporting the series. But one of the reasons is that I'd rather not, for Fairy Tail, I'd rather not buy the volumes because I don't want people looking at them and then seeing fan service and then asking me a lot of questions like, "What the heck are you reading, boy?" or something like that. Or is that there's like so many volumes and I wasn't really sure if the series was going to end well or not. And plus, besides Netflix, which in the UK it stopped showing Fairy Tail anime, I had no way of supporting like the series legally.
I mean, the only thing I can think of, like, as far as manga goes, would probably just get Fairy Tail Zero, because that's only like 1 sweet and short volume.
Granted, the only problem I would say issue I might have had with Fairy Tail Zero is, of course, the fan service bath scene they had together.
I think that's the only.
Yeah, that's true, but
yeah. I feel like it was a bit too much in your face, especially with the age of the characters at the time.
Like a phone.
And I know that, granted, Japan has different law ages and stuff, but still, in the West, it's still a bit uncomfortable.
So, yeah, back to what I'm supposed to be doing because, I'm trying to save face. I'm trying to save my face. But that's not going to last. But I would segue what Blue Star was talking about, owning a merchandise or anything to support the series. I mean, like I said, if you like the series, do support it. Now, what I'm trying to segue here is that if I were to place this as number 1 over the 3, and you would think maybe because this guy's a fan of the series. Well, here's the thing. I have no item, no product, nothing that's associated with Fairy Tail. I have nothing to lose. I have no reason to defend the series after you have to put up with me talking about like, why is this? Why is that? Because this is just my opinion. The problem is that everybody don't believe in an opinion. Everybody believe in a side. They believe in a group. And that's how people work these days. You don't like this anime? Well, you must be the shipper of another that lost, so therefore that's who you are. Even though I just got into the series.
Naruto would be a perfect example of this.
Same thing with Bleach. Maybe somebody said that to me, and I was like, dude, I don't even care about pairing like that with Bleach. I'm talking about the ending because I didn't get anything fulfilling on my end. So what are you talking about? But whatever. I don't want to bash that guy because my point is I don't want to be associated in a group. If there's a group that with an actual reasonable clause saying that like, oh, they don't like the ending because of this and this and this and this, then fine. I'm not trying to say I'm the most unique man in the universe, but I'm not placed in the so-called group that you only associated without really giving a second thought. Fairy tale wise, I have nothing to protect because I don't really have that strong bond with the series. I don't have anything to associate. I'm not trying to save the name. It doesn't need to be saved by me because I'm just a guy. Mm-hmm. So with all that said, I'll just say it straight up. First would be Fairy Tail, then Bleach, then Naruto. Now, here's my honesty. I did struggle for a bit between Fairy Tail and Bleach because looking back at Bleach, it's similar in some way. It's just the pacing and the ending that helped to make me decide Fairy Tail. And because, again, Bleach pacing was really slow. And it took a long time with his one character arc. It took a long time with one character battle. And then most in the last arc happens to be resulted with the damn Deus Ex Machina. Same thing with Fairy Tail. Maybe it's not as cringy. I don't know. Depends on you how you see it. But Bleach has that too, with the whole very convenient weapon that happens to work on that specific boss because you just have it. I don't know why. I don't know why you carry that too. I don't know how you managed to get that specific weapon that you happen to be fighting that person. I don't know why you had to keep telling your damn technique on how it works only for that villain to actually counterattack because he knows it now. It's the same thing. It has the formula too. It's no stranger to the exact same formula of telling your enemy what you did and then he will counter it. It's the same thing with Fairy Tail. You just fight, then you have a bounce back moment because friendship and you win. They both have their own problem. It's only a matter of how much you can take it. But the deciding factor was the whole Bleach ending. Yes, you got the novel. It does, I guess, it's supposed to answer some questions, and it does answer more questions with the later novel. Fine. But that's a novel. I'm not going out there to find a different type of source in order to get my answers. That I wanted to get everything dealt with within the same original source. That's all I wanted to get. Because when you make people go outside a different source, that's like a fan territory only. You kind of wanted to be like, you wanted to have the original source to be made for the fans as well as just a person who likes to read just because, like a newcomer, which is order suddenly just read that and then he decided to go all the way back and backlog the entire collection and just get everything.
You know, it's kind of like an event comic in the USA, you would see, where they make you, like, with Marvel, they have all these hero versus hero events, but they have all, like, some of the most big and major parts happening, like, tie-ins and spin-offs.
Oh, yeah, I can definitely agree with that, too.
Yeah. So that was the deciding factor, and that's how I decided that. What about Naruto? I already talked about the characters part. If you know how much I care about the characters, you already answer yourself the question, why Naruto is number 3. That's all I need to say.
Yep.
Well, that's it. We're done with this topic with Fairy Tail. Yeah, we have an anime next year, which is actually kind of surprising. Maybe not too much, but like I said, I was so used to these series don't get their anime for the conclusion, and I'm not counting the other series like the sports one, Gintama, because they continuously have animes, like not constantly, but they do get the anime more so than like. But Fairy Tail, yeah, it's only been like 2 years and they're going 3 years that it has no anime. But sometimes they tends to like just leave it out and never actually go back again. There are a lot of series that never have an actual conclusion that's similar to the manga. So be grateful that we're gonna have an anime. And honestly, I kind of feel like it's going to be rated better with the anime. Like the problem will still be there, but I think there will be parts that which is actually makes it feel like more forgiving. That's why I feel like the anime might do.
Do you think it's going to kind of be like what happened with what was it, with Yu Yu Hakusho?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe the end. Hell, maybe they will extend the fight scene with Arthur Lugia versus the Seven Dragon Slayer. If they could do that, it'd probably be a better final fight.
Even fix the final fight between Natsu and Zero, and maybe even give that a proper conclusion.
Yeah, even that. I don't know. I'm not too familiar. Well, actually, they do add more stuff or change more stuff.
Let's see. From what I can tell, with Tartarus Arc, they swapped out Grey with Loxus to defeat that one demon that Grey defeats that was fighting Loxus earlier.
Yeah.
Not sure if that's an improvement or not.
That's kind of an improvement.
Yeah, I remember now. Hey, maybe the anime would fix a lot of things. I guess that's why we all want Bleach anime, because it can fix it too.
If it does manage to fix it, I might even consider buying more Bleach volumes.
Yeah.
Granted, I probably sell all my actual ones and then just replace them with digital ones because it's much more easier to carry them about and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys, Brave Souls, just play Brave Souls, support that, and we might even get to the end.
Brave Souls. Ooh. Well, at least it's fun.
And the live action movie, which I don't even want to think about that at the moment.
Look at it this way. At least they're not ignoring Bleach, like many people like to say. I don't know why they say that. I mean, there's.
I think it's because people are used to anime being the biggest thing when it comes to Japanese entertainment and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Boy, I could tell it's over 2 hours, and I haven't looked at the duration. But hell,
yeah,
have a good time for the one last send off for a Fairy Tail manga. That is, unless he freaking announced a sequel, then we'll be like, oh, whoops.
It's like our mistake.
At least wait 2 years.
This episode.
At least wait 2 years here.
Yeah. But hey, if you wanted to ask the question about the pairing or about his writing quality, if you're that mean enough, hit up for Comic-Con. He's going to be there, I believe, Friday and Saturday. That's your chance. Ask some good questions. Don't ask him, what is it like to work at there? I mean, yeah, we get it. That is something people wanted to think about if they want to become mangaka. But as a fan, maybe it's best to actually ask about what happened, his source material.
Yeah,
I know I'm being selfish, but I just want to questions those really need to be answered. I'm sorry. All right. That will do it for today's podcast. I hope you all enjoyed this one. I hope you don't bash me for citing Fairy Tail. Again, I'm not even a huge fan. I'm not even a fan of Fairy Tail like that. I just watch it because it was something I saw a long time ago. I saw it because a friend recommended me back in 2010. Come on.
Believe it or not.
But if you're cool with me citing it, then please hit that subscribe button. It could probably fix all the losses I'm gonna get after this recording is done.
I think Tokyo Ghoul will make up for it.
Yes, if you like Tokyo Ghoul, subscribe here, and eventually we'll review that chapter because our leak schedule has been damaged. And if you wanted to hate Fairy Tail more, blame Fairy Tail for ruining the schedule then. So there you go. All right. So
that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
A lot of fun.
So everybody say their last blessing, say their farewells. I'm Sparda 3G.
I'm BlueStarSaber. Hopefully I'll be here for future podcast videos.
I'm LuckyChi7.
If you like this and want more of this, subscribe to my channel please, for the covering my losses, and my world will be yours to stay. Until next time, take care.